Hello, everybody. We are live and in color on the later show with Joe, or as I like to call it, cocktails with friends. Join me. What did everybody think of the trailer hour and the lip sync contest? Did we enjoy it? I hope so.
Hey, Joe.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Right on. Welcome.
Thank you.
Since this is your first time, I'm going to tell you the rule that we established earlier today. I don't know if you've been watching or not, but anytime you need to speak and somebody's already speaking and you want to take a turn, just bring your book up to your face.
Okay.
I will grab it. I will grab you and put you in there. Yay! Woo!
Yep, this is my beauty.
Right on.
Am I blurry?
Yeah, a little bit.
No. I hate this camera. See if I can make myself a little bit more presentable. Is that better or worse?
That's better actually.
Okay,
Still
good.
blurry though.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Better?
That's good. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Good. Okay, good. I have a cheap Radio Shack camera from like 5 years ago. Okay, I turned down my external speaker so I won't echo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good, yes.
Oh, okay, good.
One thing that is really great about Google Hangouts is the audio. Audio is always usually really good. So.
Yeah, I did the cultural thing with Ariel earlier today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That was an intense panel. That was the intense one.
Yeah, that was the intense one. And I walked into it 15 minutes late.
So were people already crying at that point? I don't remember.
No, they weren't actually crying. Nobody cried in that panel.
That's true.
We just had an audio feedback problem with one of them.
Yeah. Where are you at, Annie? Where are you at?
Washington.
I'm sorry?
Washington State.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm 3 hours behind you.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm down below you. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, cool! I thought you were because you were doing East Coast time. I automatically assumed you were somewhere on the right coast.
Yeah, I did that. I did that because most people are on the East Coast, so and that's how it's easier to get the time from the East Coast. I find if I post like the Pacific time, people go, "Well, where's that? What's that from me?" But if I do East Coast, people go, "Oh yeah, cool. That's 3 hours. I got it."
Yep.
Yeah.
So how's the weather down in the Bay Area?
Oh, it's pouring rain right now, actually. Probably something you're very used to.
Yeah, we've actually had it nice this year. It's been a combination of rain and dry. So it's kind of we've let's see. I think today was sunny, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're kind of halfway off the screen there, Annie. You might want to scoot over a little bit.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. And it's Ani, not Annie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Everybody does it to me. You think after as long as I've had the name, you'd think I'd be used to it.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for other people.
Yeah, some people jump in here very quickly, I'm sure. Everybody's saying they're gonna be here, so we'll see. Should be a fun crowd. This is we had some fun earlier this evening, so I think a couple of those guys are gonna join us, and it's gonna be lively. So.
Well, good. I like lively.
Yeah. It's been a really good, lively conversation day. So what do you write?
I'm a science fiction, fantasy, contemporary writer. I'm actually the book over there is part of my series that spans from the 20th century, 21st century to the 26th century and beyond.
Cool.
So it's called Stars of Heroes, and it's right now I'm planning about 42 books.
Wow.
Between 3 different parts in it. One's like the original series. Then there's going to be an origin series, which tells all the backstory stuff that you never get to tell, you know. And then one's going to be like a tangent series that's going to be in the universe, but it's not going to be. It's going to be about alternate. It's going to be about alternate realities, but in a way never told before.
All right, very interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what book are you on right now?
I'm on book number 2 in the in the original. It's called Do You Believe in Legend? I'm right now trying to get through the grammar editing part of it so I can turn it over to my person and have them read it one final time and then hopefully publish it sometime in summer.
Yeah, earlier today I was mentioning how much I really dislike the grammar part of it. For me, that's the worst part. I can't spell, I can't punctuate. I'm just horrible at all that stuff. So.
Well, it's not that I'm bad at grammar. What sometimes I'll do is I'll confuse words, or I'll use a word too many times. It's like my grammar checker allows me to highlight words, and I look at how many ands I have, and I go face plant.
I can relate to that very well.
It's like or having eyes, too many eyes. Even though I'm writing a first person, I'm still eye-bombing myself.
That's yeah. You just never get used to that kind of stuff. Because my book I wrote a couple times in different spots, so I had some character issues. I was calling characters by the wrong name in some spots. So.
Oh jeez. Yeah, I've changed a couple character names. My unfortunately, I got stuck on J names for a while, so I've got a lot of J names in my book, and then I switched character names for other people, so I didn't accidentally do that with other characters.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, have you partaken in anything else other than just the panel this afternoon?
Oh, I have a booth. I haven't really paid attention to it today because I've been I'm a web developer for my real job. So I've been kind of in and out, it's intimidating this year. I remember I was one of the original ones last year. We tripled in size.
Yeah.
And I can imagine what kind of coverage we're getting because of the LA convention and because of other events like this. I can just imagine it exploding all over the internet for the next few days.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited about the possibilities, but yeah, I mean tomorrow's going to be nuts. I think tomorrow everybody is going to probably partake in a lot of stuff. So I think tomorrow's going to be the day that's going to be crazy.
Well, and then I got an interview on Sunday. Actually, I'm doing one of the Blab things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
I talked to her earlier today.
Oh, cool! Yeah, she was on the panel I was on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool. She's got a good thing going.
You know what's amazing about that panel though is, as I said, it was all women.
Yeah.
No men. No men showed up.
Yeah, Aurelia was expecting that though.
Yeah.
I think there's a design to this one leading into the memoir leads into a different one. Domestic abuse leads into the domestic abuse one. That's going to lead into the heroine's journey. So it's kind of like a 3-arc kind of,
right.
Going kind of sad to happy and finishing it off kind of with that arc and showing that there's a silver lining to all the misery in the world.
Right.
Are you doing all three of those too?
I don't know. I volunteered for a couple. I volunteered. Told Ariel wherever she needs to plug me in. I'm a body. So if she'll
I really hope you're doing the world building one. Are you doing the world building one?
I was hoping I could, but I don't think so. She didn't say anything, so.
Hello, Joshua.
Good evening. How you doing, Joe?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. Nice and sunny here in Alaska. How are things down there in Cali?
Raining and pouring badly, man. It's crazy. It's coming down hard here.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think we sent all our bad weather down south.
Probably.
I'm in Washington, Josh.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How many days a year do you get rain?
How often do we get rain?
No, Ani, how often do you get rain? Are you in that part of Washington that rains a lot?
Well, I'm on an island, so I'm in the middle of the Puget Sound, so we've got a convergence zone, so we don't get killed as much as Seattle does.
Yeah.
There'll be days where it's like, oh, it's snow in Seattle, and it's perfectly sunny over here. It just depends on how the weather comes in. Now, since we're on the island and we've got Admiralty Inlet, if they get the winds just right, oh boy, we're in trouble. I mean, we've gotten. I mean, when the weather guys say we're going to have 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts, break out the flashlights.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah. You're halfway off your screen, Josh.
I'm halfway off my screen.
There you go.
Well, you were in the little square thing.
That's good to know. I said on my little window, it looks like I'm all the way on there.
Ah, okay.
You still working, Josh?
Do what?
Are you still working?
No, I'm off work.
Oh, okay. Is this your studio? Cool, man.
Yeah, just set up here in the living room.
Oh, nice.
So what do you do, Josh?
I am my real job is a licensed master social worker. I work up here on the military base.
Okay.
And then, of course, outside of that, I run a small press, Crimson Edge Publishing.
Cool.
Yeah, keeps me relatively busy.
Yeah, I bet. I'm a web developer, a freelance web developer.
Oh, very exciting.
So I work on everything from WordPress sites to C# sites.
That can be a headache, I think, for a lot of authors. It's good to have people out there that know the tools of the trade.
Yeah, it is a headache. Trust me. I wish I didn't know as much as I do.
So have you guys had a chance to run around in the Brains to Books stuff going on today? I know I seen you guys earlier, Joe. You guys were really having a good conversation when I stopped in.
Yeah, that got a little out of hand, I thought. But yeah, they were having fun with it. I've been sitting here, so I've gone very little around. I haven't even gone to my booth and said hello to people, which is sad. I need to do that. But I've partaked in some of the Facebooks. I watched like 10 minutes of each of the panels so far.
Yeah.
And I have those ready to go to post when we're all done. But I haven't done much other than sit here and talk to people. So
you might want to look at the end of the diversity panel. We got into a situation where somebody's cell phone started going off.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, at the end of it, when we were all wrapping up. So it started sounding like a video game.
That's very awesome. Yeah, I watched the beginning piece of the multicultural discussion panel.
Yeah.
And then I watched.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then I watched a little bit of the Memoir one as well. Both of them seemed like they had good conversations going on.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was fascinating on the multicultural one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were checking in on me a little bit too, on there, Mr. Robertson.
Yeah. I got to keep an eye on all you guys.
Yeah.
Make sure you're staying out of trouble.
Yeah. It's kind of hard when you got Angela in there all the time. She likes to stir stuff up and get things going, so which is great. I love that.
Yeah, that's exciting. Oh, I know that I've been amazed looking at all the different authors that are part of this convention and seeing what they bring to the table and their different experiences and their approach and the way that they write and what messages that they're trying to get through in their writing. It's fascinating to see everyone's scope of skills and how they apply it through, the use of their storytelling.
Absolutely.
Well, it's just amazing the number of people this year. I mean, as I was telling Joe, I was one of the original ones last year. And it's just amazing how this thing just burst into flames, basically, in a good way.
Yeah, I was actually on last year as well. I was part of the tour, and I know I had a small role in it. And even last year, I felt like I was super busy.
Yeah.
This year is so much busier than last year was.
Hey,
Yeah,
guys, I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. I need to do something for a client, but I'll be on audio. I just don't want to have you guys having my face right in your
no problem. Don't worry about it.
Let's see. How do I turn myself off? Okay, let's see. Okay, that's probably me.
That's the sunshine coming through your window there, huh?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's just now starting to sink below the horizon right now.
Wow.
Yeah, our days are getting longer and longer. Here in a couple of months, it'll be well up till about midnight.
Yeah, we're already up to 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we're up to it's almost 9 o'clock now here.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Let's see. What did you do?
So, Joe, do you know how many people were you planning on having on this evening?
Yeah, there's probably about 4 more that we're thinking about it. Shane said he probably will stop in. I think he's having a little fun right now, and then he'll be back in here. And I have these 2 sisters, author sisters, Kate and Claire, who are from Israel. And she said that she would be in probably pretty soon. So they're not going to stay very long. They've been up all day like me. So.
Jeez. Yeah.
So I think they'll probably just come in for a little bit, and they're going to hang out with me tomorrow night for the bulk of everything. So we'll get.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're fun. I probably have like 34 emails corresponding between the 2 of us, just talking about everything that's going on. So.
Can I hang out tomorrow night too?
Yeah. So I'm doing. I think you did sign up. Let me look and see. Are you asking if you signed up, or are you asking if I'm on tomorrow night?
No, I'm just asking if I can hang out too. I did sign up for it tomorrow.
Please. Absolutely.
I would say I think I'm signed up for tomorrow night as well.
You are, yes. You're on the list, yeah. And then
yeah, I did. I pulled the night shift because of the the Pacific time. I figured that was the easiest.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I need some more of my people on this side of the world. I was overwhelmed by East Coasters most of the day, so.
Oh, jeez.
But and then I have a gentleman, Mike Elliott, who's in Australia, and he's said he'd come on for a little bit too. So.
Oh, that's gonna be fun hearing that musical accent. I love Australian accents.
He's got a good one too. It's nice and thick.
Oh, good. We might need captions at the bottom of Google then, I guess.
Did you guys watch the trailer hour? Catch any of that?
No.
No.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of catching up on YouTube, I guess.
Well, I have over 12 hours of content almost now, so.
Wow.
Listed there, so. Yeah, if you wanted to watch my stuff, you'll be busy for a while. And if you guys, I know a lot of you guys, like, the computer guys and stuff and gals and sit around and like to listen to stuff, so I will be putting most of these conversations into podcast series too, so.
Very cool.
Cool.
They'll be on iTunes, and you can just download them and and listen to all the glorious conversations that we had here.
So did I come in and interrupt you guys while you were talking about world building?
No, not at all, not at all. We were just talking about what panels Ani was planning on being on beyond the one that she was on today. So, what are you on? You're not on any panels, are you?
I'm not on any panels. I helped out with the fantasy blog tour.
Yeah.
Sitting in on this, but yeah, it's been hectic getting all sorts of other things prepared for the publishing company and finishing up some series and going through submissions. I can talk about all that stuff if you want to, Joe, but
Yeah.
yeah, we got our podcast building and we got submissions coming in for our anthology, and it's been one great start to 2016.
Fantastic. Are you doing any giveaways during this weekend?
I am. Right now I have Anarfell as part of the big fantasy giveaway for I don't even know how many books it was. I seen the thing saying it was $1,000 worth of fantasy books that's being given out right now. And then I have, of course, people signing up for my newsletter that has 3 books that are free on that. And then I'm trying to think what else. And then Grimm's Delir is free right now as well. It's got a code to it that you can find on the website that you can download that for free at Smashwords. Then I have several that I was giving away this morning for the Helldat
Nice.
tour over on Facebook.
You did
Matthew
takeover
Harrell.
today.
Yeah, I did a takeover this morning with Matthew Harrell, which
Yeah,
I love that
great.
guy. Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a character. I missed him when he was on here. I had to step away for an hour, and apparently he jumped on with Angela and Karina, and was it was very interesting. I watched it. Very funny. He's great.
I should probably do a flash sale on Smashwords. That's a good idea.
Absolutely. This is the weekend to try and do something like that for sure.
Yeah, because I'm under contract with a publisher, but because we were having a formatting issue with Smashwords, they gave me control of Smashwords, so I can do anything I want with it.
And Smashwords has that's the better one to have control over, because that one gives you a little bit more range to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
In terms of Amazon's a little bit more strict in what they do, or what they offer anyway.
I might do something. Yeah, after I get off the panel with you guys, I'll do something. Where am I?
I know it's been great seeing the traffic coming in just from the start of this coming in this morning. I think we've had about 200 people have come through the website, and tons and tons of downloads. So it's been.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing I'm the science fiction dialogue stop number 6.
Oh, great. Yeah, I haven't even gotten onto the science fiction one. I had that one marked to go through that tour probably sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
You'll have to come on tomorrow night and tell us all about it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more exploring tomorrow, I guess. But I'm stuck to this chair again for another 12 hours, probably.
Jeez.
Hey, that's what I signed up for. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I'm happy.
I wish I could have been on here a lot longer today. I mean, I wish I could have been just forgetting about my web design stuff and just doing this all day. It would have been fun.
Yeah, we got some lively folks going right now, and it was a lot of fun. They kept the conversation going. It started really early in the morning, and there was very little lulls at all for me, and I was really happy with that. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I can tell you're a little tired, Joe.
Can you?
Yep. No, I got up about 4 a.m. this morning. I think that's when I got up to get ready for the takeover event this morning.
I was right there with you. I was up at 4 o'clock.
I rolled out of bed about 9 o'clock, and then about 10 o'clock, I get this urgent email from this client saying, "Oh, we want to make this live," with no warning whatsoever. So it's just like, yeah, that's how my day started.
Oh man, that is stressful.
And we actually, because it was actually a client who was reacting to what another subcontractor said. And we sent an email to that subcontractor because we wanted to make sure everything was tested right because we're doing the actual web hosting, and this is through a client of mine, and they haven't responded. So basically, the red alert came off. It was nice.
So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Is it Ani?
Yes.
So Ani,
Like the light switch, I'm always on.
Now you made me look bad because I said Annie earlier. Damn it.
Ani, do you
If
write
you're
as
not
well?
recording this. Yes, I am. Yes, I do. I'm the author of the Stars of Heroes series, and I've
Okay.
published one book already. I'm working on my second.
Kind of curious about that.
I'll
'Cause
show you.
I haven't heard about it. What is the synopsis?
Well, basically, the synopsis is the series spans from the 21st century to the 26th century and beyond, and it just follows several different families and alien clans through various adventures. The first book is Spirit of the Lone Horse, and it's about the character who basically narrates most of the series, and she was mauled by a horse, and so she has this great fear of horses. So she ends up she's dealing with the fear of horses, and she runs into the son of the horse who almost killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And they help each other get over their fear. She starts a lifelong dream of riding in this serious competition, only to have somebody start attacking her team. So she has to solve the mystery of who's attacking her team. In the middle of it, she apparently dies, and just it's a wild adventure. I mean, I tried to do too much with the book because it was my first one. I have to be honest with that one, but it's still a good story if you can get past all the details.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then it has a science fiction element as well, because you find out one of the characters is actually not from this century. And then my most favorite part of the book actually happens towards the end, where my character gets to live a dream I had of being able to talk to her horse and understand him, thanks to an alien horse.
Wow.
Yeah, as I said, too much going on in this one book. It could have been 3.
Tell Mr. Arson how many books you plan in this series. I want to see him
42.
fall out of his chair.
Did you say 42?
Yes, 42. It's a 3-part series. The original part of the series is going to have each part is going to have 14 books. The original series is going to be the chronological series. Then you're going to have the origin stories, which are more episodic, but kind of go into stories that would fit in the series, but they'd be more flashbacks than anything else. And then you're going to have a tangent series that deals with alternate universes or alternate timelines.
Yeah, that is going to keep you busy for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is I've got to become a full-time writer to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I can do computer work and writing at the same time and get all 42 books done.
Yeah.
But and until that happens, I mean, I'm probably stuck on doing 1, maybe 2 books a year.
Which is still an admirable goal, and that's a lot more than a lot of people do. That's a lot more than I do. So
Well,
I'm not as prolific as I would like to be, but
well, I mean, it's better than 1 every 30 years. It
Yeah.
took me 30 years to publish. Well, technically 29 years to publish my first book.
I think Harper Lee's got you beat by about
Sorry, I
15
had pizza,
years.
so it's.
I think she waited between Mockingbird and the last one she released a couple of years ago. What is that? 40?
So when are you officially recording this, Joe?
I am. It's recorded. It records regardless, but it's live right now.
Joe?
We're live right now.
Yeah.
Did I mute you guys?
Yeah. Sure.
Did I lose you guys?
No, you're good. I hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you as well, Ani. Maybe she lost us.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, I seen you pulling something out of your cooler over there, bub.
Did I lose you guys?
No, we still got you on.
Disappear. I don't want to bring it up too high because I don't want to get sued for copyright infringement. So.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay.
Hello. You hear us, Ani?
Her audio must have went out.
I can't hear you at all. Crap.
Well, we're silent now. Maybe we should be talking.
Yeah, no. I was wondering if you were going to get the audio fixed. I didn't want to be...
That's a cruel joke. That was not intended. I just don't have anything to say. I'm kind of out of things to say at this point in my...
Well, I can definitely bug you, Joe. I know we were talking a little bit last night. Tell me about your story again that you're working on.
I'm sorry?
Tell me about your book that you have.
Well, so far just the one, and it's a crime thriller.
Go slower. I got to see the cover, bub.
I'll Vanna White it for you.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So it's called Amongst the Killing. It's a crime thriller. It's told in dual perspective. So one chapter by the detective and the other by the mass murderer. And basically, it's about a hotshot detective who gets his dream job of becoming an LAPD robbery homicide detective, only to have it turn into the nightmare when he gets assigned to track down this mass murderer, and the mass murderer changes his life forever. And they're completely connected through events, and the story of the two of them following one another. So.
How long did it take you to put that together?
Yeah, that's a good story. I, too, took about 20 years before it officially got published. I wrote it when I was in the Marines in 94, I think it was about. And when I was in Denver, I had it traditionally published, or I was about to have it traditionally published, and things went haywire. I told a story earlier. I guess I can rehash it. Basically, what happened to me was I got an agent through a writers' conference. That agent got me a booking in New York. We went to New York with a traditional publishing company, not one of the big five, but a pretty big one.
Yeah.
And we sat down at the conference table, and my book was sitting there with probably about 300 red flags in it, and we proceeded to tear it apart. And I was thinking most of the time when we were doing this, it was going to be just like common edits, and it was an editor who was tearing it apart, which I had no problem with. Mm-hmm. And then they got into structure and context, and they wanted to change everything, and I come to find out that the publisher didn't even look at it. The editor didn't touch it. It was an editor from a TV movie studio that wanted to make my book into a TV movie, and they had edited it to make it more easier to write a script based upon. And they tore it apart and wanted me to restructure and rewrite it, and I walked away from the deal. And then I found out through luck, we had a publisher who was actually very honest and sent us the letter that this publisher sent them, which was basically blacklisting me and telling everybody not to work with me because I was difficult to work with. I was a typical first-time author, and my agent didn't know anything, and it was just sorry about that. It was just a horrible experience all the way around, and I got soured by it and walked away from it for a long time and went into filmmaking, my other passion, and tried that out and found I was horrible at that. And so I needed to do something creative, and I had a friend who passed away, and one of the last things he said to me was, whatever happened to that book that you had written? I thought it was going to get published, and that stuck with me because he passed away pretty quickly after I last saw him. And then I went on and decided, maybe it's time to dust it off. And at the time when I was looking to be traditionally published, that was really the only way to get published. If you did a self-publishing, it was like a vanity press thing and kind of a dishonest thing. It was that stigma,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of self-publishing, and I didn't want to go that route then. And then I looked at it again this time around and found that it was much more amicable and easier to do, and seemed a lot more legitimate. And so that's what I did.
So I know there's a lot of authors that we have that are on the Brain to Books that have done the self-publishing thing. What do you think was the hardest part of self-publishing?
The hardest part is all the components. I think putting all those together. I think really, truly, if you have to be on your best checklist wise, you need to make sure you check everything off, all the things you need to do. But I really think the thing that really is important is editing, and I had it professionally edited, but it didn't turn out very well, and I'm probably at some point going to revisit this book and redo it and have it done by somebody I trust, who I've met through now, doing all this. And luckily the book is good in context. Otherwise I probably get destroyed, because I do have some grammatical mistakes in there, and some things that some people have pointed out, and I'm not too proud of that. But at some point I was going stir crazy looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, and my wife was looking at it, and I put it in the hands of this person, that had this service, and I trusted them, and they did an admirable job, but they did miss some things.
Yeah. Well, even the big five have editors that miss some things. I know that I've read books by some of the greats that have been put out there on the market, and you still go through and you find grammatical mistakes, and you find missing commas, and you find missing periods, and so those things do happen from time to time.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I've seen many self-published authors that sometimes put work out there that it just needed another read-through or another editor to go through it before hitting it out there on the market.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I think you have to have somebody you trust look at it with a fine-tooth comb, and really you can't be afraid of being beat up. I think that's only going to help you in the long run. I know some people are afraid, to give up certain things, but my wife actually helped me tremendously. She found a spot in there that was a lull, and I changed the entire ending based on that spot, and I think it worked out tremendously better. And so,
oh yeah, kudos to her. This is one of the things that I've talked about before when it comes to editing, is there's several different types of editing you got to go through, and the first piece of your editing has got to be developmental. Most editors that I see that publish their works out there or target the indie crowd are either proofreaders or copy editors, which is great. You need those people to go through your books, but they're ineffective until a developmental edit's been done. You have to have somebody go through and make sure that characters are true to themselves, the plot line follows through, that you have a good story around the plot to make the world feel full. There's no loose ends, that there's no missing subplots that aren't brought to completion, and you can't do your proofread and your copy edit until those things are done.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome that your wife picked up on something and was able to help you pull it all together.
Yeah, I think you have to have somebody who's a reader, not somebody who's an author. Look at it.
Exactly. I have a person I'm working with who's not a professional developmental editor, but she has given me some great ideas for my second book, and I wish I'd had somebody like her with my first book, because I have the same problem. There's a lot of mistakes in there that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I would technically consider myself a developmental editor, not a proofreader or a copy editor by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I have found that I'm getting better at the copy editing thing, but I'm a huge researcher, and I do a lot of research. I authenticated this book to the most I could possibly authenticate it. I actually read a true crime book some years back, and I actually contacted the author because they had their email in the book, and I contacted the author, and the author hooked me up with the retired police detective who worked 27 years at robbery homicide in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
had him look at some of the specs of some of the more technical jargon and some of the procedural things that were going on. And he was really gracious and did that for me. And uh, I can't believe that people haven't asked him to do it before, because he told me this is the first time in 30 years somebody's ever asked him to do that. But um, that he recommended I go on a ride along, and he hooked me up with a safe patrol to do a ride along, and I
Mm-hmm.
sat in the front seat right between the shotgun and the cop, and
Wow.
that was pretty cool. As close as I've ever been to being a cop and feeling like a cop. He didn't let me toot the siren though. That's the only thing I would if I was a yelper, I would have given him 4 stars because he didn't let me run the siren.
Aw.
But otherwise, he was really cool. He gave me some great advice and stuff. And this guy I met with him twice for about 4 hours every time. And I guess when you're a retired cop, you have nothing better to do but rehash old stories, and we met in a donut shop, which I found very, very funny. I think he did that
I
on
bet.
purpose. But yeah, it was really cool. It was very, very interesting, and I was very lucky. And then he gave me all the websites to where you find information about prison life and
Mm-hmm.
prison procedurals, and where you can find the FBI manual on procedurals, and all these things read like stereo instructions. I'm sure, Audie, in your business, you have plenty of manuals like that, but you know those are hard to read, and so, but I was using those as reference guides, so I was very, very careful in authenticating a lot of what I did, and I think that's also important as a writer.
Oh,
If you're going to do
definitely.
something that's of of this world and current, something that captures the culture that you live in and are breathing in, that's real, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I think that you got to make
No,
it as realistic as possible.
I totally agree with you. I was like so totally because I deal with. I mean, I created my own military organization, and I just want to respect all the men and women who serve right now. So I was like totally detailed on everything, or
Hmm.
tried to be.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's
was in the Marines actually for 4 years. So.
Well, thank you for your service, Joe.
absolutely. Yeah, I think the research aspect of it, I think that all authors can relate with, even if they write of things out of this world. I mean,
Yeah,
this sounds really silly, but I spent about 3 hours the other day researching how the Chinese boiled tea back in, when they first initially came about to it, and how the hearth fire started and how they put it together. And I spent another hour researching Mongolian gurs and how they formed those tents and how they kept them heated during the cold weather, just to understand how I could incorporate that into my own books and my own stories.
that's
Um,
really cool.
yeah, I know in Melkorka when I wrote it, I spent almost 3 hours just researching caves and how water passes through and how the wind passes through, and how you could have plant life grow in caves and all these types of things to make it as authentic and real as possible. And I know for things like crime novels and things even like fantasy novels, there's a certain reader base or a certain fan base that's out there that read those types of books, and they're going to know if you don't know what you're talking about. They're going to
Not
pick
only
up on it and
that,
be like, yeah.
but I've read a lot of crime books now, and before. I like true crime. One of my favorites is Capote's In Cold Blood, because it's not written by a crime author per se, but it's written by a guy kind of observing a crime, and I think it's probably one of the more authentic true crime books ever, because
Hmm.
it's not only riveting for the procedurals because he's there watching them do these things, but he's there also feeling the emotions of what the families feel and everything like that. And I thought that was the aspect that I think is missing from a lot of crime fiction. A lot of them concentrate too much on the procedurals, and then you get a book about procedurals, and I
Yes.
think that can hinder you too. I think you have to have a good balance.
I've been teasing my friend of mine who's very detailed. He's got a mystery book he's writing. It's going to be chapter. It's going to be 100. what do you say? It's going to be like 7 chapters and 140,000 words. And he was telling me how he was describing the ballet and the, all this in detail. And it's like, dude, people aren't going to want that. They're going to want some detail, but not everything. He says, I don't care. I'm just writing for myself.
Well, and there's people who do that, and that's totally fine. I mean,
yeah.
But I wanted to be an author and have a wider reach, but I'm not, I'm not by any means out there to try and do this to be famous or anything like that. I was more realistic about all that. Having been soured by the business a little bit too helps that too. But whatever motivates you to do what you do, if you're writing, I think you should just be writing and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not worry.
Well, my motivation is basically, I got a story in my head and it's got to come out.
Yeah. That's a really good reason to do that.
I mean, why was I given a series of 42 books to write?
Yeah. You see, yeah, you're in an unenviable position by any means necessary.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point, and something that I've had discussions with other authors about before, about what do you guys think about, do you like the shorter chapter, like bursts of knowledge and then, short chapters, or do you like to mix it up? Do you like longer chapters? What do you guys typically, when you're reading, what do you like?
That's hard to say. Go ahead.
I was going to say you can attack it first, Donnie. I'll go after you.
Well, I used to like the really long. I didn't like the ones that dragged on for 50 pages. But I used to think that a chapter had to be 10 pages long to be a chapter. Then I started writing my own book, and it's like, as long as I make 1,200 words or 1,300 words per chapter, I'm happy. and that's just because it's just, if I go any longer, I'll get too detailed. It has to, for me, a book, it doesn't matter the length of the chapters. It's more of the, how does the character make you feel? How does the character, can you see the movie in your head? If you can't see the movie in your head, you're not reading a good book.
Joshua?
I'm honestly not partial to short or long chapters per se. I think that much of what Ani is saying is that the chapter just has to be long enough to achieve what it's set out to achieve. I'm kind of a plotter myself, and so whenever I put together my structure for a story and decide how I want my story to unfold, it's important to me that the chapter essentially gets across the message and the piece of that story to hit the reader. Sometimes it takes 6,000 words to get the full of what needs to occur in that story. Sometimes it only takes 1,500, 2,000 words. It just really depends on getting done in that section what needs to be done.
I'm thumbing through one of my favorite books of all time, a friend of mine, and I haven't pimped this book enough, and I need to because I think it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It is called The Distant Sound of Violence by Mr. Jason Greensides. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. It is a beautiful, beautifully made book, but he does something I've never seen in a book before, and I'm sure it's been done before, but he actually writes a chapter. I'm going to find it here. It's toward the back.
Is it a one-pager, Joe?
Sort of, yeah. It's kind of interesting.
I've actually read some old sci-fi books from the 1970s where I'd be reading through and then I'd have a chapter that was like 2 paragraphs. And I was like, wow, that was something.
This is chapter 50. It is 2 words. Snow fell.
Wow.
That is, the next chapter is right after that.
That is a record.
It is brilliant. Yeah. Because to understand that, why he did that, is even more interesting because it's the concept behind the waiting for this mystery to unfold, and it's almost like an intermission in a movie. He's a big movie guy, so I know him quite well. We've had so many conversations about old movies and stuff, but he won't tell me why, but I really think that's the reason is he's paying homage to his older movies and having an intermission between he was building a drama that kind of crescendos at that point and is about ready to be, into the third act, and that's how he introduces the third act, and I think I laughed when I saw that. I
Yeah,
thought it
that's
was
very
great.
creative. I think I'd have a similar response.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't read it, it's a great book. You should definitely check it out. Distant Sound of Violence.
Yeah, I've
Jason
never
Blum.
done that with a chapter before. I do it with a paragraph. There's oftentimes that I'll write so much, and then I'll have a two-word paragraph that'll be like "snow fell," and then I go into the next one. And so I do that, within a chapter for breaking it up. But I've never done a chapter that way. That's really awesome.
I think also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Chuck. God, I always mispronounce his name, but the Fight Club writer in his first one of his chapters, it just says the first rule of Fight Club, and then doesn't say anything after that. And we all know what the first rule of Fight Club is, right? So,
Yeah.
so I think that's kind of brilliant too. I think that he does that in his book too. If I'm not mistaken. I haven't read it in a long time, but I thought that was kind of funny. But I thought that was a prelogue or a preface. It wasn't. It wasn't actually in a chapter, but I could be wrong. But I'm with you guys. I think if the story flows, I don't really pay attention to the chapters after a while. I just kind of get lost in it, especially now that I'm super on Kindle all the time. This is my Kindle. I I read excessively on this thing, so or try to. I'm not a very good reader. I'm not voracious, so I need to start being more of a good reader. But I always said that. I've said that since I was 12. So maybe 20 years from now, that'll be the case. But
No, I love reading. I read constantly.
uh,
If I'm not writing, I'm usually reading. And I think for me, I think when I start trying to see how long the chapter is or seeing how much is left in the chapter, that's when there's a problem. When I start going, how much more is left in this before I get to the next piece, that's when I know that they've lost me in the story.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I approach it from a filmmaker's mentality. Really, honestly, it has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end for me, and that's how I write scripts. I've written, probably a dozen scripts in my life, so all of them have that arc, that the 3 act arc, and I kind of write the chapters the same way. So I kind of have a dangling at the end and something that sparks right at the beginning and leads you through the middle. So
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. There's a book out there called Plot Perfect that I use, and it talks about the three act play and how you structure your novel to do the same thing where you have this overarching plot, but you have this little 3 act play that builds up through that. And I write my books the exact same way.
yeah. I think it does add a little bit to it, but that's just me.
Yeah, I
I'm a
agree.
chunker. I will write the beginning, I will write the end, and then I'll write the middle. Or I will start writing something and then just follow it through, and then go back and finish, and then go back and just kind of finish where I stopped. I don't know. I've never been structured in my writing. Unless it's been schoolwork, I've never been structured in my writing. I just let it flow if I can until about the fourth or fifth draft.
Sorry. I'm a stream of conscious writer as well. We talked about that earlier today too. I write in chunks. I don't design it. I don't have a 30,000 word minimum or 10,000 word day that I follow. I just write until I feel like I can't write anymore, until the sentence gets stuck, and then I'll probably pick it up 2 days later. I went through when I chucked the 300 pages I chucked out of Amongst the Killing that we talked about. I went through and tried to be disciplined, and every day I sat at the computer, whether I was writing or not, for 20 minutes, and either I was staring at a blank screen, or I was researching, or I was writing. Those were the three things I could do. I was not allowed. I was not allowing myself on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. I could only go as far as Google would take me, and that's as far as I went on researching and using the internet. And otherwise, I was staring at a blank Word page for most of the time. So, and I write at weird hours too. Like right now, for me, I'd be asleep normally, and I'd probably wake up in about 3 hours and get up, and that's when I feel like writing usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
All
probably a
right.
little bit. Nope, go ahead, Ani.
I'm not writing right now. I'm more editing. So I have like my manuscript in the back, and I treat myself like if I get something done, I'll go treat myself and do some editing. But when I'm writing, I will have Scrivener open. I do the same thing with Scrivener. If I'm writing, or I'm thinking about writing, I'll keep it open, and it has all my books. And that way, if I get an idea for one book, I can just go plop, and then come back to it later.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna say I'm probably completely different than you guys. I'm a plotter through and through, and I talk about this on the Writer's Edge on the podcast that I run through Crimson Edge, and it's nice because we have a nice variety of folks that come on to the Writer's Edge, and we have plotters, we have pantsers, but yeah, I have set word counts that I hit every day. I plot out my story from beginning to the end. I centralize it all around a theme. I have a plan from beginning to end on what I want to do. I usually have to go back and fill in the story around my plot when I write. I'll knock out 80,000 words of the plot, and then I go back and I fill in the detail to make the world more full afterwards. But yeah, I definitely sit down and I have it all scoped out from beginning to end.
Now, Ani, how many of the 42 books do you have pieces of writing for?
Probably about, let's see, oh, damn, I have to think about it. I know one of the series. Yeah, I know one of the series. I have none. I maybe have 2 books ready out of the 14. The other ones, I have all. I have about 28. I have about 28 of the books. They've got pieces. No, excuse me. I got about 24 to. I got about 24 of the books that have pieces right now, and I have 28 titles for the Origin series and for the Core series, but I still only have 3 titles for the Vector series, the time travel alternate reality series.
And I'm finding that's not
that
uncommon
one's
with
actually.
series writers. I'm finding that's not uncommon with series writers. I've met a lot of them, and I was surprised to note that they have little chunks of everything like placeholder for their next book, so that they know where to stop the. So that's what somebody told me. I don't know if that's how everybody does it, but so they know where to stop the previous book and continue on. And they usually also, if they have a new character, they like to write it in and make sure that's where they want it within the series.
The only reason the alternates don't have any titles or anything yet, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do alternates of my series books, or am I going to include real world events too. So that one's kind of that part of the series is not going to get written till last. The other 2 are kind of like, let's do the sequential. Okay, well, I'm doing the sequential. If I come up with a great origin story, I gotta, chunk it off to the origin story part. So.
What are you working on right now, Josh?
I had just finished up the 3rd piece of my Hawkhurst trilogy this week. Wrote 10,000 words on that and finished it up, and so I'll be editing that over the next few weeks before it goes off to the rest of the editing group. And so hopefully I'll have that out here in the next couple of months. But outside of that, I'm currently co-writing my next book with my brother, J.C. Boyd. He and I wrote Anarfell together in my world, and now we are writing the first book to launch off his series in his own world. And it's actually untitled right now. It doesn't have a title. We're about 30,000 words into it, and it's coming along beautifully. It definitely touches the realm of dark fantasy. It really has some challenging themes in it, but it should be released in October is what we're looking at.
So how does that work with the co-writing? How do you guys manage that? Do you guys pick certain sections and then write over top of one another, or do you write something and then he follows it up? How do you guys do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Him and I have tried to write together for well over a decade, and we've just recently mastered the art. I remember I remember the first time we sat down to write, we spent about 7 hours in a basement working at it, and we came out with probably the best. I can't cuss on here. Maybe I can. We came out with the best page we'd ever written in our entire lives, but it took us 7 hours to put it together. It wasn't very efficient. And so now what we've done, what we do with Anarfell and what we are doing now is we each have a few select characters that we write. We meet every week, and we plot out the story and decide what elements need to go into the story. We share those documents back and forth on Google Drive to keep up with each other, to see what's going on, chapter per chapter per chapter. And then we go back through the other person's chapter that they wrote, and we add in our own flavor. The folks that have read Anarfell said that it's written so flawlessly they don't even know there's two writers in the book. And that's what we
cool.
aim to do. We aim to make it so it's really just one fluid story, so it sounds like you're reading one writer.
Your brother in Kansas?
He is in Kansas. Yep, still lives down there in Kansas. Yeah. He's got his
Joshua and I spoke earlier in the week, so I know he's from Kansas. I should have mentioned that to the audience.
No, you've been stalking me, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
Yeah, he's got his master's in English. He's a very talented man. Probably my best friend. Him and I have done tons of different things together, and writing is just one of those passions that we've always shared.
Awesome. All right, somebody asked a question, and I'm answering their question on YouTube here. Click here, guys.
Oh, awesome. Does that mean we have
somebody
actually watching?
Some of their favorite authors are going to make an appearance here, and I'm just letting them know I've extended the invitation to anybody and everybody, so they're more than welcome to come aboard.
That means there's people that are actually watching, but they're asking to watch somebody else? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, believe it or not, yeah.
That's all right. I'm not offended.
Turn out for most of the day. It's usually,
cool.
I mean, it's usually between 3 and 5 people, and right now it's at 2. But that's the low end. But we've had up to 25 at one time today. So.
Wow.
And it's it's late in the evening, West Coast. You probably all the East Coasters are in bed right now, or partying, one of the two.
Yeah, I was shocked to find when the videos are posted how many views each video's been getting. So people are actually going back and watching stuff too. So I was pretty happy about that as well.
Well, I'm posting anything I'm involved in on like Facebook, Twitter, various places. I'll probably put a videos page on my blog and my website too.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate any exposure.
Yeah, I know I threw this out on my Twitter a little bit ago. I'm up a little over 20,000 followers, but most of them are sleeping this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping to get a kind of a weird crowd here tonight, but I think tomorrow is going to. Today I wasn't gauging it because I really felt like today was going to be a waste to do that because it's Friday, people are working. So I think I got more viewers during the time that people are working because they are at their desk and they want something to distract them from their normal 9-to-5 job. So
that's our goal in life, Joe. That's our goal. We need to drop the productive levels of our average worker.
There's this great stat. One of my mentors is Jim Valvano, and he was a basketball coach, a very famous one. He was an ultimate underdog that ended up winning the national championship with his college at NC State. And he's a philosophy major too. So he had his book is fantastic. Everybody should get it. It's Jimmy V on Jimmy V. It's really great. And he talks about this one time he was reading the newspaper while he was getting ready for the Final Four, and in the newspaper they had an article about how work production slowed to 40% of its average workday production because people were watching the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. instead of working. Um, and he was floored by that. He said he fell out of his chair, which was a funny scene. And he said he got on the phone and called his brother, who's like a steel worker, and and he heard like silence in the background, which normally when he calls his brother, it's really loud because they're cutting pipe or whatever. And he goes, "Why is it so quiet over here?" He goes, "What do you think? We're watching you play basketball right now." And so he always tells that story because that's he was floored by he couldn't believe that was true, and then here he is calling his brother, and that's exactly what they were doing, was watching the game. But of course they had a vested interest because his brother was coaching the team. But still, I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, I think the whole Puget Sound went on strike when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I bet.
And the party, the day of the party. I mean, seriously, they not only had to, they overflowed to the to Safeco Field because they couldn't cram everybody in CenturyLink.
And that's Seattle's first major championship, is it not?
In a while, yeah. The other time was the Supersonics.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But then they went bye-bye, so that's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
And then the Mariners, well, everybody thinks is a farm team, so whatever. Well, we have high hopes. We're in first place right now.
We're 4 games into the season, but that's okay.
I know, that's what I mean.
I'll let you have it.
That's what I mean. I'm being sarcastic, dude.
Do you get any sports up there where you're at?
They have hockey, which is of course the big sport that's up here.
Yeah.
But I'm just not a sport guy. I don't watch a lot of sports. I maybe seen one football game in my entire life. Just not my passion.
I hear you. So we talk about plotting a book and getting how to get how we do that and everything like that. One of my other passions is filmmaking and movies. You guys like movies?
Oh yeah.
What have we seen lately that we like?
Well, I haven't seen anything really lately. I mean, in the big screen in a while. I've been watching, some of the. It's been a while since I've seen a movie, but I do want to make a movie out of at least one of my books. So that's my ultimate goal.
That's offering people to grab their books and make them into movies.
Yeah, I did. I'm gonna actually. I'm watching that thread. I want to see how it develops first.
That's a smart way to approach it.
Just because I'm a web developer, so I'm kind of a little bit more jaded than most people. I mean, I have seen the bad side of I have seen the bad side of humanity. We actually at one time had a hacker who wrote us an email saying, "Guess what? You got a plugin from Vietnam. I am taking over your site in a week." Oh boy, talk about the craziness in that one.
Movies. I've seen the new Star Wars, of course. Can't miss that. Seen the Deadpool. Seen the Batman versus Superman. I mean, I'm all about everything that has to do with comic books and superheroes. So if there's something coming out in the Marvel world or the even the God, why is my mind going blank? I want to say Justice League. I'm all about going out there
Comics.
and see. Comment?
DC versus Marvel.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely a Marvel fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the majority, but yeah, I don't know. There's DC guys. I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad. I think that looks pretty good. I don't like Will Smith, but sometimes it's those guys, they get lost in those movies, and I'm okay with that if that happens. But
I'm exceptionally excited about Harley Quinn. I'm really glad to see them really upping her role in the movie, and I'm hoping that they're not just showing all the great scenes again in the movie and then.
Yeah, that's kind of my fear because I don't know. Earlier today we had a discussion about Batman versus Superman, I was not a big fan of the movie. So
Yeah, I'm missing out on all the good conversations. I wasn't a big fan of the movie either. I was really kind of disheartened by it overall.
me
Um,
too. I thought it was a mess. I thought you could literally. I said this earlier. You could literally walk in 3 hours into the movie and
Miss
you
nothing.
never be the wiser.
Yeah.
You know. I, I'm sorry.
I, I would agree with you completely. I think that there's some folks that did pretty well with what was given to them. I think that
Mhm.
my opinion on that's probably contrary to popular belief. Um, I honestly liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I liked his twist on the character. I liked what he was able to do with the lines that were given to him. Um, I liked, God, I can't think of her name, Wonder Woman. You know, the little bit that they
Yeah,
gave her, I thought she
Gal
did well.
Gadot.
Yeah, I thought she did well with playing the part. I wish that I could have seen more of her instead of just essentially throwing her into a battle scene and then never really doing anything with her storyline. Um, Superman was, essentially what we've seen out of the first Superman. Ben Affleck, I don't think he did terribly awful as Batman. I just don't think the script was written well. I was actually surprised with what he did with the role that he was given, but it didn't fit him well.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of it was just a big mess. I thought it was a big mess. I agree with you on Eisenberg though. I thought I enjoyed that. It was kind of a departure from the Lex Luthors that we're used to, and I think even in the comic books a little bit. I think he captured a different essence, and I kind of dug that. I thought that was kind of neat. But and I enjoyed the fight scene. The fight scene to me was the reason to go see the movie, and I was right. And I enjoyed that, but it was so short, and it didn't. Nothing made sense before or after that, and it just. I was disheartened. So much so, I went and saw Deadpool right after, and luckily, I enjoyed that movie. So
Yeah, I enjoyed Deadpool as well, but I still feel like Deadpool even got more hype than probably what it deserved. It hit that R rating and it did things that I think that got people's blood boiling pretty good, but I still thought they could have done more with it. I'm kind of sad that they had as small of a budget as they did for that movie, but Ryan Reynolds is awesome in everything he does.
yeah, I enjoyed that movie tremendously. I thought the jokes got a little much toward the end, especially.
Yeah.
But I'm big on cynical humor, and I really thought at the beginning it was really right on. But
Hmm.
they got a little more cheesy as the movie got on, and it was kind of like, all right, all right. I'll suspend my belief for that second,
Yes,
And the
yes.
fight scenes were done well.
Hmm.
They're typical Marvel fight scenes, so I didn't expect anything different. I mean, the one scene where they're creating each other, where they're in the laboratory, that was a really cool fight scene. Um, but I I like that movie quite a bit. I thought it's what I hoped Ant Man would have been. I thought Ant Man was
Yes.
too cute and too nice, and um, I know he's kind of a comical character, but still, I think there's an edge to what he does because he was a bad guy for the beginning of. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy, but he did bad things,
Hmm.
and I thought you could have done a lot more with. You could have done a lot what you did with Deadpool with Ant Man and got away with it and been
Yeah.
pretty good with that. So
I'm sure that we are boring Ani to death here,
No,
but
you're not. It's fascinating. I haven't had a chance to see all these movies, so I'm fascinated by the conversation because I did want to see them. I mean,
hmm
it's kind
well,
of like I have the intention, and I eventually buy the DVD sometimes.
I'm not going to spoil Star Wars for you, but I will tell you that was my favorite movie of 2015. I
Cool.
loved that movie. I really did. I couldn't believe that I did. I really thought it was. I thought it was stellar. It brought
Did,
all the nostalgia, the right amount of nostalgia, and added a new twist to it. And I'm real excited for the next chapter because the guy directing it is darker, and this it kind of ended, where they were turning a little bit a corner, and I think this is the right guy to pick that up and run with the ball. I'm really excited about that, but um, J.J. Abrams hasn't been one of my favorites. I think he destroyed the new Star Trek.
Oh
But
yeah, he did. Don't even get me started on that one. Don't even get me started. I mean, the last movie,
yeah.
there were 5 major plot holes that I picked up on it, and I'm not one to pick up on plot holes.
Well,
I was
that was
ready
the
to kill him.
wrong. Yeah, that was the wrong amount of nostalgia in that second
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
and he basically obliterated my entire childhood in that one movie. Because to me, Wrath of Khan is probably the best Star Trek movie I have ever seen. That's my favorite, and
right.
I enjoyed that movie tremendously. And the second one that Abrams did, he steals a lot from that, and it doesn't make any sense why does what he does. So you
Well,
know,
what he did is he actually combined both Space Seed and the Wrath of Khan,
yeah,
and it really just. I mean, I'm sorry, he just did too many different things that were. He blew that classic scene between Shatner and Nimoy. I mean, he totally just kind of made it. Reversing it, having Kirk come back to life in the same movie, just not doing that. I mean, he could have left that alone. He really could
yeah,
have left that alone. And then the other thing of having the starship fall to Earth. I mean, hell, they have a space yard. They have they have the whole fleet. So why wasn't there any tractor beams? Or why wasn't anything try to stop it? Yes, I know it was a plot line, and yes, I know, things like that. Or how the heck can the communicator work from Earth to deep space? You know, just things like that. I mean, it's enough to drive somebody who's writing their own series, trying to be perfect, or trying to at least be, technical, and to have a major motion picture blow it like that. Come on. I mean,
yeah. I got you
I'm
started.
sorry. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. No, that was great. I completely agree with you on all those aspects because I was unlike a lot of Trekkie fans. I didn't dislike the first one as much as they did. I thought it was okay. I mean, the whole Spock coming back thing was all right. I mean,
Hmm.
it was kind of explainable in a certain context, and I kind of liked that Scotty got a bigger role in the development of what they're doing. But
Hmm.
because I also I dig Simon Pegg, so I was really happy for him. But you know, I didn't hate the first one, but the second one completely changed my mind. And now having the funny thing about it, and this could relate to what we do, is if you're writing a series or you're writing multiple books or sequels on something and it doesn't pan out like it did the first one, you could destroy the legacy of the first one really easily. I mean, you could
Right.
just dilute it and people won't pay attention anymore to the rest, right? Am I
Right.
right?
Right. And I'm not really impressed with the third one. I mean, it looks like a cross between Fast and Furious and, I don't know, just another action adventure. And they're destroying the ship again. How many times do they have to destroy the ship?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How many times have we? I mean, it was great the first time when they didn't search for Spock. I mean, it was appropriate the first time. But what they do? Then they destroyed it in what was that last one? No, Generations. They destroyed it, and then I think they almost destroyed it again in either Nemesis or the other one. And then now they're going to destroy it again in this third one.
Hmm.
And it's like, how many times can you blow up the Enterprise? I
I see
mean,
you.
it just.
I see you seething over there, sir.
I'm just thinking, the movies that I'm really excited to come out is looking forward to Captain America: Civil War. I'm really excited about that one coming out soon. I think the premiere is actually coming out here in the next few days.
Nice.
Is that right? And then
Yeah, it's pretty close.
and then I heard through the grapevine, which is not really much of a grapevine, because I think most of the world knows, but they're looking at making the Wolverine 3 with Hugh Jackman, and it's looking at a rated R um, rating to come out there, coming off of the Deadpool craze. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping they do some good stuff with rated R Wolverine. I grew up
Yeah.
playing the video games, even on old PlayStation 2. and that's some awesome stuff.
Yeah,
I really like the Wolverine character, and I'm glad, but you know, you look at the Wolverine series, you look at how many times they've done the Wolverine. I mean, you know, the 2 or 3 movies, and you know, and that is the way you do sequels. You make it interesting for the audience. You get them involved in the story. You don't. That's what's happened with Hollywood. Is it just they've gone to formula. They've gone to okay. This works. A plus B plus C equals D, and everybody seems to like that formula. So let's cram it into the ground. You know, let's do sequel after sequel, remake after remake. I mean, look at how many Hulk movies they did in like the span of 5 years. You know, it just I don't know. I think Hollywood's lost its creativity. You know.
uh, there's no doubt about that. I think they've um, they've destroyed it long time ago. I think they they're not looking to make movies. They're looking to make money. That's what they're trying to do, and that's
Well, and
what.
then I've heard that China basically bought it out, so it's basically now a propaganda machine.
Wow. Well, going back to the Wolverine thing, I know they're making the third one. I didn't know about the rated R thing. That's cool. This is Hugh Jackman's last go too. He's not going to do any more X-Men, no more Wolverine movies. He's done.
That's what he
And
keeps telling us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone kept telling us Rocky was done 20 years ago too. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least he killed off Rambo.
but eh, but I heard they're trying to entice, or they have, entice Liev Schreiber to come back, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's going to be fun if that's the case, because he's a great actor, and he was a great foil in the first one, I thought. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'm looking forward to Civil War 2. I'm looking forward to not having to see another unearthing of a trailer. Um, we talked about this earlier. This is my biggest pet peeve with these movies, especially, is the incessant need to rework a trailer because you didn't show me something that you wanted to show me the first time, and I can't. I can avoid them online. I can avoid them at home, but I cannot avoid them in a big giant movie theater. And I really would appreciate if you're going to show me those in a movie theater, you show me the teaser one and let it be. I mean, honestly, you could sell Civil War with just Marvel Comics, Captain America Civil War, the shield on one side, the Iron Man helmet on the other, and Spider-Man, and a shot of Spider-Man. And there you go. You just sold it. Every single person on this planet who loves Marvel is going to go see that movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
Remember how they did the original Batman movie, where all they did
Yeah.
was where all they did was the logo and the date.
yeah, I just think I'm tired of them reworking the same thing, and that's the fear I have because of that was Suicide Squad. Is that, I mean, this last trailer was really good, but it showed way too much, and I
Yeah.
think, if we're gonna see everything that's good about it, just so you can get my money, I don't find that fun at all. So
You don't
Well, I
find
will.
that amusing.
yeah.
Well, I will say, as much as Ryan Reynolds fits that Deadpool role, RDJ fits the Iron Man role so perfectly. I was so glad to see him pick up that role and take it on. And he's impressed me as an actor in a lot of different things, even since he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I think I got that right.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. He's
Oh, nice.
hilarious in that movie. And I just love seeing him continuously come back and rehash parts. And he's so versatile. I mean, even in Tropic Thunder, he was hilarious. He just does a really nice job. I'm glad to see him back on top of Hollywood again.
Yes, he's a good actor, and Tropic Thunder is one of my favorites, and also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But if you like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you should see The True Detective. That's the movie he did. That's previous to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Same producers, different directors. Keith Gordon directed the True Detective, but Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was directed by somebody else. But the same movie in the same vein, but he's fantastic. He's a great actor. I loved him back in the day. You know, it's Less Than Zero. You know, you can keep naming all the great Robert Downey Jr. movies that have been throughout
Yes,
history, but
yes.
you know, I enjoyed that. I think you're right. And you know, I think the guy who's probably won me over the most is Chris Evans. Um,
Mhm.
I think he's the perfect Captain America. You know, he's finally got that stink off of him from Fantastic Four,
That poor guy,
and
man.
I think that
We all just wanted to give him a hug after Fantastic Four.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you. You know, but and Michael Chiklis too. They what they did to him. You know, that's too bad. You know, you don't put baby in the corner, but you don't put the shield in the corner either. You know.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I've really, and you know what's really impressed me is not just Captain America, but movies like Snowpiercer and movies where he's come out and done these sci-fi things and used his newfound muscle to create, you know, other characters in other worlds, and I think that's impressive. And he's showing some versatility, and I like that. I'm real impressed. I think he's made the biggest transformation I think of all of them.
Well, I think that's what I like about Marvel is they do really good casting. Their
Yeah.
casting of characters is spot on, and I don't see that so much when I look at the DC side of things. Their casting, they just keep having to recycle and recycle and recycle. They can't hit Spider-Man, they can't hit their Superman, they can't hit their Batman. Um, Poor Ryan Reynolds got thrown in the Green Lantern, and he did what he could with it, but the script was poor. It just seems like they keep not getting the casting right with the superheroes they want to market. But you know, Marvel, they're nailing it every time.
Yeah,
Well, to
Spider-Man 2 is
me,
probably one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. I just think that
which
movie is perfect.
Spider-Man 2 though? The one
Oh, not the
with
Amazing Spider-Man 2, no. Sam
okay,
Raimi's
that's
Spider-Man 2, with
McGuire.
Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I think
Uh,
I think as close to a perfect superhero movie as I've ever seen. And I adored that movie. That's one of my favorites of all time. So, oh, I will say though, Winter Soldier is phenomenal and right up there. That's
Hmm.
probably another great movie. I've never
that's it.
seen fight scenes like that. That they did some amazing choreography in that movie.
I'm probably dating myself, but I think George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, and Tom Welling were the best Supermans,
I'm with you.
plural.
Christopher Reeve is my Superman, as far as I know. I mean, you know, I
Nobody else has been able to capture it. I mean, because the way Christopher Reeve did it, he had the Superman, you know, when he was Superman, and but he had the innocence of the alien when he was Clark Kent. You know, I
agree.
mean, I don't know. It
Yeah,
just
no, I'm totally
I
with
get
you. I think
nostalgic sometimes for
uh,
the older stuff. I mean, I couldn't watch the remake of Battlestar Galactica because
yeah.
I just I love the you know the original with Apollo and Starbuck and Lauren Green. You know,
So does this play into part of you guys' writing, wherein you're looking at a character's need in a story, or you're trying to fulfill a particular part? Do you look at kind of like casting a character? What type of character do you need in a particular scene in order to fulfill a role?
No, I don't think about that till I don't personally. I don't think about that till after. I'm never when I'm writing scripts, when I've written screenplays. Yes, I think about that a lot. But um, uh, the descriptions that I use for characters are just sketches in my head. They're not based on anybody or you know, believe it or not, they're like police sketches. Um, you know, I prefer it that way simply because then if I do get a character like in screenplays, it's helpful because of dialogue, and I can move the dialogue better because I have their accent or their tone down. Um, in a novel, I think I could get lost really easily if I'm trying to compare it to a real life person or an actor.
as I said with the cultural. in the cultural flannel, I don't write for skin type. I mean, I have one character where it's a night scene, and he's on a rail of a horse ring, where I do give the color of his skin, but otherwise I just write a basic physical description and let their personality speak for them. I mean, yeah, in my mind I have certain people I'd love to cast as my characters, but I don't write them to that casting. I write them for what I need for the story, or I write them for what I need, how they come across in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I, as I said, I'd like to make a movie, but I'm like, you know, it happens down the road. It happens down the road. I'm not going to be in charge of casting.
Yeah, well, when I've walked away from it, that's when I start thinking about it. I do think about it. It's natural, but as I'm writing it, it never comes into my head. I try to stay
Yeah,
away from that. You, sir?
because you don't want to paint yourself in a box.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you don't want to give a character so much physical traits. They're like, other people will say, "Oh yeah, I've read this kind of character before."
Yeah.
You want to leave it open to their imagination.
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like all my characters have to have a definite purpose in the story when I put them in there, and so I usually create them, from whatever race it's coming from or whatever land it's coming from. I have to have their full background and who they are, where they're coming from. I've never really, and this may sound weird, but I've never really based a character off somebody I know or off of an actor or somebody. In my regular day to day, they're usually from dreams that I have. They're people that I dream about or that I don't know, or situations that I've dreamed about, and I pull them out of that and then create them into my world. But all my characters are definitely placed in the story. If that's the word I'm looking for, not systematically, but it's very intentional. I have a lot of intentionality behind putting a character in a story and why they're there and what their purpose is. And I
Hmm.
think that part of that comes from reading a lot of manuscripts that come across my desk, or people that have submissions, or I hear this from my acquisitions editor. Sometimes I read through stories and either there's characters lacking and too much composition, or they have characters in a book that really don't belong there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's context that needs to be definitely thought about. I have a question on YouTube for you guys. Yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
I've got a question on YouTube for you guys.
Uh-huh.
Um, LF Oak wants to know if we can have your websites, blogs, or books. You want to give out your links to everybody so that they can come and follow you and find you? Why don't you start, Ani?
Sure. Well, you can follow me at Lone Horse End on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook at Facebook Stars of Heroes, Facebook.com Stars of Heroes, and that's Heros, not the regular spelling, and it's not a misspelling. That's actually Palean Greek mythology. It does have those roots. There's starsofheroes.com. Let's see, that's Twitter, Facebook, yeah, and the book, if I can do a self promo,
Please.
is Spirit of the Lone Horse. And the second one is hopefully coming out this summer or fall, called Do You Believe in Legend?
All right,
So that's
sir.
my spiel. Oh, I almost forgot. Write the Writer is my blog.
Write the writer. All right.
It's
That
a,
sounds like an
it's
interesting
a,
blog. We'll come back to that.
well, yeah, we'll come back to that.
Go ahead, sir.
I actually think I commented in the comments underneath
Okay.
LF Oaks thing for my Amazon link. And if people are just joining, I don't even know if they can see my name anywhere on here. My name is Joshua Robertson, right? Dark Fantasy. Easiest way to find me is at www.crimsonedgepress.com. You can find all my works there, as well as links to my newsletter, to my podcast that I do. You can see me on Facebook at facebook.com/author Joshua Robertson, or connect with me on Twitter at Robertson Writes. My three primary books, which I guess I can show them too, that you can look at. The first one in the saga is Anarfell. I was talking about this earlier as we were talking here. This is the one that's co-written with my brother, J.C. Boyd. And then the first two in the Kalendar series is Melkorka, and then the second one that just came out in January is Dindair. And so those are the first two in that series. Had a lot of fun writing them. Going to probably have the final and third one in that particular series for the Calendar series out next year, looking at next summer. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's kind of the basics for it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thank you. I gotta be better about that. Sorry, it is 11:30 here, and I've been up for almost 17 hours today.
Yeah.
So
Hey Josh, you and I have got to connect offline sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely find me all over the place.
Okay.
I don't know if you're on or not, Ani, but on Facebook, I'm the admin for the Phoenix Quill, which is a great writers group there. I think we're a little over 200 people now there. You can definitely catch me there. And then I also run the Crimson Edge Book Club on Facebook. And so easy to connect with me there too.
Okay, I'll catch up with you on that one. I'll at least apply for the Phoenix Quill when we're done.
Yep, it's a crazy group of fun people. We talk about writing
Good.
and writing things. We keep self promo to a bare minimum and just kind of help each other out in the writing world. It's fun.
That's what we need. I mean, we have one of the writing groups on Facebook has ended up to be a political one. Everybody just posts their politics. It's like, what's this have to do with writing, guys?
Yeah, we don't really get into politics or religion or anything like that that's mainstream. We don't do promos. We talk about our writing. We encourage each other. We post some silly videos every once in a while. But yeah, we have a great time in there. One of the best writing groups I've found.
Cool. Very
And I just
cool.
want to mention to everybody out there watching that I have collected virtually every single person that is going to be here with me's link. Some of them have come in at the last minute, so I will be collecting them after the fact. But come Monday, I'm going to be still busy putting that all on my website. So Monday afternoon, everybody's links to everything that they do, Facebook through Twitter to Google Plus to their books, will be on my website. So you can go there, goindynow.com, and get all their information to everybody you see here too, so that you're not, you can go back and have a reference point. And I know that Angela is doing the same on her website too, angelabchrysler.com. So everybody's going to blanket everybody and have everybody covered for all the links and everything that they're doing. And I know, Ani, you have a booth, correct?
Yes, I do.
And Josh, you have a booth as well?
Absolutely. Yep.
So both of these guys have booths in the Goodreads and the convention when the gates open tomorrow. I mean, you can go there now and check it out. But when the gates open tomorrow, definitely go and check these guys out. Say your last name for me, Ani, so that I don't butcher it.
Manjikian. Manjikian.
So Ani Manjikian is there, and Mr. Joshua Robertson is also there, and that's who we're speaking to. I'm Joe Compton. I have a booth too, but as I mentioned earlier tonight, I am stuck in this chair for the next two and a quarter days now. So I will probably get back to all of you at some point as I unwind and find my soul again. And I will definitely answer everybody who says hello to me. So go to my booth and say hello to me too, and I will answer you back. And if you have any questions for any of us, we're all doing this for that reason, and it's important, that we know that you're out there, and have questions for us and want to know who we are, and we really appreciate that. So everybody go out there and do that, because it's always nice to have fans.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have fans, then you're really like the guy who's writing the 7-chapter, 3,000-page book, right?
Yeah, 140,000 word book. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I mean, I love the guy. He's great. I mean, he's a great friend. He's really great. I mean, he's really been a great friend to me. But it's just sometimes I just have to grin and bear it when he tells me what he's doing. I just cringe because I'm like, no, dude, dude.
So the question was posted earlier today too. I'll ask you guys, since you're fresh here. Do you guys listen to music when you're writing, and what kind of music do you listen to? Let's go first. Go ahead,
I'll
on.
go first. I'll go first. It depends. It depends on what kind of day I've had. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I just want to concentrate and I've had a chaotic day, I actually work better in silence. But if I find myself, going down the path of what ifing myself to death, music helps keep me conscious of my thoughts. So it's like, okay, I can mellow out. I can say, oh yeah, I like this song. Let's go with this beat for a little bit. Really, it's all types of music for me. I mean, the only thing I really don't listen to is country, rap, or heavy metal with the heavy guitars, just because it hurts my ears. And also, I don't really listen to any Pink Floyd because he's got some really weird tones going on that if I sit there and listen to it, I think the only Pink Floyd song I like is Brick in the Wall. But anything else, he gets those really weird tones going on. And it gets under my skin, and I'm like ready to punch. I could sometimes punch somebody because of it. Because I don't know what he does. I do not know what he does. He screws with your head without you even knowing he's screwing with your head.
I've never heard. That's probably the most pacifist band ever. I've never heard anybody want to violently hurt somebody listening to Pink Floyd. That's fabulous.
Well, I listened to one piece, and I swear I had to almost walk out of the room because he was using subsonics, and it drove me nuts. It absolutely drove me nuts. It was just something in the vibrations was just the C sharp was not mixing with the B flat or whatever.
Well, "Wish You Were Here" is my favorite song of all time. So, and that's a Pink Floyd song. Sorry, but I don't have a lot of their stuff, but that's my favorite song. So, Mr. Robertson, do you listen to music?
Yes, I do. I typically do not listen to anything that has words in it when I write. I like instrumentals. I love Adrian Von Ziegler's stuff that he has on YouTube. I oftentimes listen to things like a Skyrim soundtrack or some other type of gaming soundtrack. I like listening to Lindsey Sterling. Love her instrumentals, with the violin. I'm really big into some Bulgarian folk music. I listen to a lot of that. Sometimes I listen to some Scottish stuff or some Gaelic stuff. But yeah, I usually don't listen to anything that has any type of words to it. I like either just vocals moving up and down or instrumentals in general.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I listen to silence. I can't do it. Music will motivate me and encourage me, and I listen to very aggressive music for the most part, or very loud music. Sorry, Ani, again.
That's okay.
But yeah, I don't. I have to have silence because if I don't, I'll get sidetracked by the song or the music and kind of get lost in that. I'm kind of the guy that absorbs it and just kind of feels it, and so I mean, that helps me when I'm writing an emotional scene. I'll listen to something that I know will invoke something for me, but I won't continue to listen to it while I'm writing it.
I'm just more sensitive because I'm more sensitive in my hearing and my emotions and everything just because of my eyesight. I don't exactly have perfect eyesight. In fact, my eye doctor has a novel on me. Literally. Because I've basically had so many conditions that shouldn't work, yet I still manage to drive and I still manage to see almost perfectly when I'm wearing contacts. So I consider myself very blessed in that respect.
When
that's why
when you're programming, do you listen to music?
Again, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm stressed and I just need to concentrate and I just need to focus, no, I won't listen to music. But most of the time I will have something on the background because what will happen is if I don't, my mind just focuses too hard and I'll lose track of time or I'll just get myself off in these what if kind of things that are no good. They're really no good. So the music kind of helps keep me, okay, I'm here, this is what I'm doing, it blocks out, it just blocks out the mental noise sometimes.
Well, our favorite commenter is commenting. LF Oak says, I'm like Josh, instrumentals, can't do words with my music. Ani she says, Ani, that's amazing, push the limits. And Honest Believe tells us, I do both, depends on my mood as well. I listen to the opera, then Nine Inch Nails. That's quite a departure.
Yeah, that's a combination.
That's like going from one spectrum to the other.
I gotta tell you though, Honest Believe does some good music too on YouTube, so you gotta check out her channel too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she does some music on there as well. Now it's gonna be probably some stuff that I don't know if either one of you guys listen to. It's not Pink Floyd, but it's good stuff.
Cool. Do you guys design your own trailers?
You know, I made a book trailer when I first started working into that a little bit, and I didn't see the payoff for it. So I stopped making book trailers. I decided it wasn't worth the time and energy to put into it. So I don't anymore.
Ani?
I've made two. I've made one that was just the original, first promotion for Spirit, and then I kind of revamped it for the whole Stars of Heroes. So I could promote both Spirit and Legend. But yeah, it's a lot of intensity, so it does take a lot of time to do it. I have a little bit of a video editing background. I took some classes in video editing when I was in college, so I enjoy it, but I don't have the tools for it. I mean, I did my promos on Windows Movie Maker, of all things, because it just, I don't have the money or the time to invest in something like Adobe.
Yeah. That stuff is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even on their subscription plan, it's expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a passion of mine, so I think everybody knows the answer to that question for me. So we were talking about visualizing characters, but so I would assume that we've all dreamcasted our book before, right? As everybody dreamcasted their book, everybody knows who they want to really be in their movie if their movie ever got made from their book.
I have a couple of characters. The more dreamcasting I've done is when the movie finally happens, I want to take a victory lap in Griffith Park, Los Angeles Equestrian Center. I want to be on the Bay Stallion and just charge in while Styx is playing Come Sail Away. That would be my ultimate dream. Don't laugh!
No, that's great. No, I'm right there with you. I'm not laughing at you.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I mean that's, and I would, as I said, I would love to direct the movie. I would love to work with a known director. I don't have to be the primary director, but I would like to, have directorial credits as part of the movie. I mean, I gave up the idea of being one of the characters. I gave that up like a couple of years ago. But if I could just direct one of the movies, that would just make my day. That would absolutely make my lifetime, actually.
You won't pull a Hitchcock or Stan Lee and just appear in a little scene where you're in the background.
Well, I might be part of the crowd in the horse scenes, but you won't know I'm there. I'll just be part of the audience. My fear is I break the camera otherwise.
Yeah, Hitchcock's notorious for obviously his cameos in his movies, but he's also notorious for not telling the crew and the cast when he's going to do them. And To Catch a Thief, he's on a bus, and he's just reading a newspaper, and he looks over, and the sheer shock on all the actors' faces are amazing because they had no idea it was Hitchcock sitting there, and it's pretty funny that he does those kind of things. He had the notion to just walk across the screen and do all those things. But he just did it for a goof to kind of get everybody. But then it became a thing, and he ended up having to do it every time. I think that happened to Stan Lee too. Although I think Stan Lee wants to be in every one of those. But
Stan Lee obviously enjoys when he does them. I remember the one when they did the Hulk, the last Hulk, and he drank the soda. You know, and
Well,
he
his one in
fell.
Deadpool's pretty funny too. How about you, sir? Have you
Uh,
casted your
I really haven't.
dream?
I've
Yeah,
been asked a couple of times to do that in interviews that I've had, and I've had to go out and look for people that might fit the role, and I couldn't probably even tell you the names now off the top of my head for who that would be, but like Melkorka in Dine the main character is a demon. That's kind of have you ever seen Legend, the 1980s film with Tom
sure.
Cruise?
Yeah,
Yeah, Blix in that, the Goblin. My main character essentially looks like Blix, but except for he's red-skinned. And so not a whole lot of people I think that can pull that off. But I think for my case,
well,
I've
it
never really
sounds
went
like
out to find people.
it sounds like you need Andy Serkis's help on that
Yes, yes.
one.
How about yourself?
Yeah, for Amongst the Killing, I've dreamcasted it. Detective Charles Street will be played by James McAvoy,
Hmm.
who most people would know as the young Professor X. Um, that's the gentleman who plays the young Professor X in the First Class movie and the Future Past movie. Um, and then Lev Schreiber is Jack Casey, and he obviously we talked about him earlier being
Hmm.
Sabretooth, and also he's in this great television show called Ray Donovan, and I mean most people know who he is, but and most people know who James McAvoy is too, but he's
Yeah.
one of those guys where I think both of those guys are the guy. Oh, I know that guy from that thing in that movie, you know, and
Yeah,
those there's not many names there, and I haven't cast the minor bits. Typically, because I have a lot of actor friends, I'll tend to not do that simply because then I can tell them, "Hey, I was thinking about you for that part,"
right.
and that makes them happy.
Yeah,
So, I mean, not that I wouldn't ever not live up to my promise, but
Hmm.
if it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands. But
it's just easier that way. It keeps the relationships nice.
well, I don't do it to be cruel. I mean, I really would love to have them. That they're incredible actors who need to be noticed in this world, but
Hmm.
it's just Hollywood doesn't always recognize. Especially if you're the one in charge, they
Yeah,
run you over pretty fast because it's you're a first timer. And
yeah,
then if you're not the one in charge, then you're not in charge and you have no say over anything. You're the writer.
right. Yeah,
You're even worse than the writer. You're the novelist. So don't you
yeah,
think it's nice if they just ask you to be on the set for one day, and you're the guy who stands by the trailer in the back of the lot, who doesn't even get to go inside the set, just has to sit there while they have the roll up door open so that you can see maybe the top of the director's head as he's yelling action.
right,
That's
right,
what
right.
that's what the novelist gets.
Hmm.
Maybe if he's a good novelist like a James Patterson, they'll and a good director who wants the novelist involved, you get to stand next to the director for one scene or two, and he'll ask you a question just to be nice, and then tell you go fly a kite.
Well, that's why I want to do the screenplay adoptions of my books too. So I have a little bit more rank.
I think for me, if I had the choice, I'd rather go with the HBO deal than the movie.
Yeah, why
That,
not?
that's a path I'd like to go. Season after season, break it down, keep the reader pulled along, forever with terrible season finales like The Walking Dead, and just keep pushing through. I don't know if you guys have been watching The Walking Dead. Man, that frustrated me so bad. I won't give spoilers away, but man.
I heard about it.
Hmm.
I'm a Jeff. I don't watch it, but I'm a Jeffrey Dean Morgan fan.
Hmm.
So I heard what his character does and the impact that he has.
Hmm.
I don't even read the comic books, so I don't know all of the lineage behind it. But do they stay pretty true to that word? Do you know? Is that something you follow as well?
Yeah, I actually read all the graphic novels before they even started making the AMC show.
Oh, excuse me, graphic novel. Sorry, I don't want to insult
No, that's
anybody.
okay. Yeah, you're gonna offend nerds all around the world. You're gonna have nerd rage. Uh, but yeah, they did okay to begin with. They started following it, but they've in the last couple of seasons really started um, going off their own way and adding in little tidbits that distract from the actual storyline. So it's got some people up in a rage about it. But
Yeah. But
I got
this character that Dean Morgan's playing is the character that everybody's been waiting for, right? I mean, this is the guy that kind of
yeah,
turns the tide.
yes, yep. And
Yeah.
he did a phenomenal job with it. Again, this is one of those things where I think the writers have infuriated the nation, not necessarily the actors trying to play the part.
I like AMC Productions. Breaking Bad is probably one of my favorite series of all time, and I'm getting back enthralled with Better Call Saul. I thought it was a slow start for that show, but it's starting to pick up. So I like those shows. I haven't. Um, Karina got mad at me earlier today because I told her I don't read Game of Thrones, and I've only seen one episode, and that was the Red Wedding episode because I was told that's the best made episode of television ever. So
Not
I
if you haven't
watched it.
watched any of the rest of it.
Yeah, I didn't. And I didn't want to further stick the dagger in by saying I understood everything that was going on,
Yeah.
even though I never followed a character or knew what a character was. I kind of got it right
Hmm.
from that one episode. Of course, all of them. Well, spoiler alert: all of them die, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But you know, um, yeah. So I've already irked the ire of nerds everywhere today. So I might as well just keep
I love Game of
pushing.
Thrones, honestly. Game of Thrones is it's one of the shows I do keep up with. Unfortunately, I started watching the shows before I started reading the books. So
Uh,
now when I sit down and read the books, I'm like, I already know what happens. But I am impressed with George R. R. Martin. I think that he does do pretty well. I like his style of writing. I try to tweet him every now and then and tell him that I'm going to have my dragons fight his dragons, from my novels to his novels, and see who wins. But uh, I've had the same conversation with Paolini, but
I I I just heard actually Angela's the one who told me about this. The guy who wrote The Martian, he started it on a blog,
yes, he
and
did. Yep.
and people were saying this is awesome, and he ended up getting followers, and then he ended up writing the whole thing out. That guy was very technical, so talk about a guy. We were just kind of going full circle here. Technical versus emotional, and he captured
Hmm.
all of that essence with just he started with all the technical stuff, right? I mean, that's what the blog really was all the debunking theories of science
Hmm.
on Mars kind of idea, was it not?
Yes. To my knowledge, that's what it is.
Hmm. I just found that fascinating. The origin stories of how people get started are amazing, and Martin is another one of those that has a pretty good origin story, and um, it's just uh, I think if you write from a fan's perspective, sometimes you can capture a lot of things that you've wanted to say about something that you didn't like because fandom usually comes with criticism, right? So
Yeah,
Mhm.
it definitely does. I just finished writing an article for Our Right Side for their literary journal that they put out quarterly. And it was talking about that, about how fantasy, for those that really write fantasy and get into it, there's a big story to tell. And it's about telling this story that has this theme and has this lesson and teaches some sense of morality around whatever it is that's going on. And it's not just some, you know, fantastical throwing of words on paper to just entertain you. There's really some deeper purpose behind what it is that we do.
and that's really yeah, I think that's important to note, especially you know. So
Yeah,
are you guys just watch like fantasy and like horror stuff, or is there other television shows that enthrall you lately?
I really don't watch a whole lot of TV. Those are really the two shows that I watch, and I usually grab them, from another source like Hulu or Netflix or something, or I go over to a friend's house and watch them. But outside of that, I don't actually watch television. I don't have time for it.
I would imagine. I would imagine that you were tell everybody what you told me before about the cable up there and the internet and how it's kind of corrupt because it's from
Oh
one
yeah,
source.
yeah. It's completely like it's a full monopoly where you have so many bytes that you're allowed to use per month, and so you essentially pay twice as much as what you pay in the lower 48 for half the internet. And
Oh, geez.
once it's gone, you got to pay more to get more, or you're just out. Yeah.
Hey, at least on the island we have a regular telephone company. So we don't have a really. I mean, they do half the island. They do the south end up to a certain point, but we don't. I mean, they don't overcharge or anything like that. As far as watching TV goes, I'm probably Arrow and Flash are what I watch on a regular basis. Everything else is just kind of catch can as catch can. I used to like to watch Grey's Anatomy, then it just got too weird, so I just wait. I just kind of like wait until Netflix, and that way I can just watch the whole series at once. Live through all 10 seasons without commercials.
My problem with Netflix on TV shows is that I tend to find the one that I remember. Like right now, I'm stuck
Right.
on Cheers, and I'll watch every single episode again and again. For
Mhm.
about 2 months, I was stuck on West Wing, and I just kept watching West Wing over and over again. And then I recently became an Amazon Prime member about 4 months ago, and the first thing that popped up into my Amazon Prime was Newsroom, and I rewatched all of those. And so I can't get past all of those to get to, I still got four episodes of Dexter left to watch. I haven't really watched the last season all that thoroughly. I've seen the ending, but other than that, I haven't watched all of those episodes. So, but I can't get to them because I'm too busy worried about Sam and Diana. Are they going to get back together, or are they going to end up breaking up? Of course, we all know the answer to that question, but and I think the greatest fandom in history is Norm. That's, to me, if I walked into a bar and somebody said that, one, I'd be probably ashamed because I was that well known in the bar. But two, I'd be like, wow, I'm acknowledged. People like me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm getting loopy, sorry.
I think we all are.
But yeah, I don't. I've actually. There's one show I am watching other than Better Call Saul, and that's Vinyl on HBO, which is really great. I'm a giant Bobby Cannavale fan, and I think he's probably next to Sam Rockwell one of the most underrated actors we've ever had as actors, and I'm super excited that he has his own series now, and he's really really good in it. And if anybody ever wanted to see a coked up Ray Romano, that's the series you want to watch because he's coked up in most of the movie or most of the series. It's pretty awesome. Um, you just you remember everybody loves Raymond, and you think,
Hmm.
man, nobody would love that Raymond. Um, but which is great because you don't get to see him do those roles. So
Hmm.
I liked it. It's a good series. If you love music history, it's really about that, and it's essence and why music is dead in most people's eyes, or at least the music industry. You know, which I think ties again into what I mean. That's the great thing about the platform that I'm presenting on GoIndie Now is I think that there's so much parallels between our worlds, film, movies, movies and books and music. Music industry pretty much had an epic collapse about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less than that, and has completely changed. And movies are always kind of teetering on that edge, but big studios will never let that happen because they make too much money.
Hmm.
And the big five and publishing are changing rapidly too. I mean, they've tried everything that they can to, keep keep indies at bay and not let there be a revolution. But you know, I think it's coming. I think the industry has evolved and changed. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the revolution in Paraguay already happened. I mean, you've got direct competitors now. You've got people who, like me, would probably not make it in the regular industry because of the odd mash of horses in science fiction, or I mean, and that's fine. I mean, I'd rather publish it myself or publish it through a small press and be true to my heart than have some editor in New York tell me, sorry, we're cutting out half your book because it just doesn't fit our box, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not too big about boxes.
No, I think it's definitely evolving. I think that's the natural course of things. And with the way that technology is and the way that we are now all interconnected across the world, through things and opportunities like this where we can use YouTube and, chat with different folks that have different talents, there's no way the markets aren't going to be challenged. I mean, whether that's looking at film or music or writing. And I think that we've seen that. I know for myself, as I've been looking at this over the past couple of years, you see the changes in just folks that are indie anything coming up the ranks and really challenging those big conglomerates that are still trying to hold their foot and say that they're the experts at something. And I think there's a lot of folks that have the skill set to say we're also experts.
Well, unlike the music industry and the film industry, the secrets are out about publishing and writing, and I think because people are so willing to share. I mean, that's the difference. I think music, there was a contingency. I mean, there are still contingencies of publishing and aspects of that don't want to share and want to keep the lion's share to themselves and want to keep people out. But I think for the most part, the communities are starting to overwhelm them. Uh, I know that we're all probably multiple members of multiple groups on Facebook and Goodreads and things like that, and that's something that the music industry never had, and something that filmmakers have very little of. And I think that's the difference. I think because we're all willing to share with one another, that spreads like wildfire, and I think that's something they can't control, and that scares the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the approach of business is still 20th century mentality and with 21st century technology.
Yeah.
They're still thinking brick and mortar, not electrons.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nothing to say, sir?
well, this would probably be contrary to what any author would want to hear, but I think for me, one of my concerns is that with the overtaking of an industry like this, even that we've seen in writing, God, I don't know how to word this without offending a lot of people, because I know myself I'm not perfect by any means of the imagination, but I want to make sure the literary value of what's being produced is worthwhile. And I think that sometimes having the freedom to push content out and push it out quickly to the masses sometimes gives questionable content for people to take in or to read. And there are thousands and thousands of indie folks out there that are publishing content every day. And I don't have any opportunity to flip through it, but I have had a lot of people say, I was really worried about picking up your book and reading it because you were an indie author, and the quality isn't always necessarily as good as what I see other folks because of maybe editing services aren't there, or design, or being able to format the manuscript in the appropriate way. But whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that if indie authors are going to continue to rise at the rate that they are, the literary value of what we're putting out there for readers is maintained.
It has to be. It has to be. I mean, I read an article when the revolution was starting to happen, where the gates are wide open, and there's going to be a lot of chaff with the wheat, basically, and that's what we're seeing because we got over 600,000 to 1 million ISBNs being,
Yes.
requested every year.
Yeah.
I
And I have no
mean,
doubt. I've read great indie authors' books. There's some really good authors out there, but I've also read some indie
right.
books that were not so great.
Yeah, I read a book. And I won't mention the book's name because I don't want to give it any bad juju. But I read the book and I was like, at first I was interested, but then it got to be like a B-rated movie. It's like I could predict what was going to happen before it happened, and it's just like, oh, come on, dude, you got a great title. Why don't you have a great story to back it with? And then in the same respect, I read another book that was wonderful, was very interesting. I even had an author draw me in for a subject I don't really get into, and it was interesting. So it's a shooting gallery almost. You
Yeah.
know, it's like going to Las Vegas and betting on the slots
Yeah.
sometimes.
And for me, it's nothing that really has to do with, a misspelled word or a missed period, here and there. Like I said earlier, I see those things with major publishers. That's no big deal. But what I want is that when I finish that last page of the story, as a reader, I want to be changed in some way. I want to be challenged in the way that I think about the world. I want to be challenged in the way that I live my life. And I want to take something from the story that really helps me grow and mature as a human being and makes me a better human being because I read that book. And when I come across books that don't have that immediate impact on me as an individual, that's when I question, what are we doing as indie authors?
Exactly,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
and but I do think that sharing the knowledge helps dilute that dilution as well. Because if you share how to get there, how somebody might, make something look a lot more professional and
Hmm.
give it, if you're in there and you're serious and you're taking advice, then if you soak that in, and you'll be 2 steps better than you were when you walked into that. And I think that's the difference. Music didn't have that, and music got diluted with a ton of people who just thought, hey, I got Pro Tools now. All I have to do is plug in my amp and play on it, and hey, Pro Tools will do the rest for me. They didn't realize that Pro Tools has a million different, annotations and different, ways of working it out, and that there's much more to just putting it on a reel and mixing it and being done with it. There's composition, there's structure, and I think
Hmm.
as authors, if we're concerned about dilution in the marketplace, which is a real concern, there's certainly there certainly could be. Oh, somebody's calling me. There certainly could be an apt way of getting in there and helping somebody find themselves.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
agree. And I think we're seeing that movement in music. I think that we're seeing more musicians coming through even from that way and helping each other out. And I don't know how much you guys follow this, and I'm honestly not an expert in it, but I see things like Lindsey Sterling, who's kind of a big deal now, but she kind of came of her own ropes doing that. She partnered with Peter Hollins on a lot of different things. He does his own vocals. He does an amazing job. Adrian Von Ziegler puts together all of his own compositions that he does. Now that I think about it, I listen to a lot of indie um, musicians, and I didn't even realize it. But a lot of these folks, they're using YouTube primarily and co-joining together to put together music and pushing it out there and teaching each other what they know about the trade. But I'm not incorporated in that world enough to really know the ins and outs of it, but I see them connecting.
Angela wants to come in, so I'm sending Angela the link.
Well, the thing about advice is you got to be careful though, because I've seen it where there's good intentions behind the advice. Sorry, but you get advice from multiple sources, and they seem to contradict each other. Or when you start to get the good advice, you almost start reading it like, okay, so what's the catch? How much is it going to cost me? Because there's a lot of people. Not that they don't have the right to make money, on their advice, but it gets expensive being an indie. It gets real expensive being an indie sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying on that, Ani. And I think another piece is that Many times, new authors believe that they're going to write a one-hit wonder, and they're gonna be the next J.K. Rowling, or what have you, and hit fame really quick and big. And that's just really not the case for a lot of us. We have to write and write and write and continue to improve and get better at what it is that we do. And we're not going to write one book and suddenly, have a movie deal. It's just not
Right.
the reality of it. But a lot of authors, I think, go into writing thinking, I'm going to write, I'm going to put out my book, and I'm going to become famous. And they're so quick to throw it out there and start that process, they never really question on if it's ready to hit the market yet or ready to be released out to the world.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, exactly. Totally. Very true. And you have to pay your dues. In any industry, you have to pay your dues.
Yeah.
And even when you think you're ready, you may not be ready. I mean, I have to be honest, looking at my first book, I'm like, I had totally out of the world expectations for it. And when it didn't do as well as those out of the world expectations, it hit me hard emotionally. And people have to be prepared for that. They have to be prepared for the reality of what's going to happen. Because if they're not, they're going to be the one book wonders,
Mm-hmm.
Even if the first one fails, they got to try again. That's all I got to say. Is they got to try again.
And I think
But
that's
in
go
the
ahead.
same respect, don't just be writing to be writing. Because I've read complaints where it's like people are just writing to write. They just copy and paste stuff and publish a book. That's not a book, guys. That's not a book. A book is a story. A book tells something, and it gets people involved. It's not meant to just, yes, I'm left-handed, but I don't want a book on left-handed quotes. I want to know why being left-handed is important.
I think
I
that's a
just pulled
cool
that out
thing
of my
about
hat because of
I think that's a cool thing about indie writers, though, and I know this that when I pick up an indie book, it may not be as polished as it needs to be out there, but you can oftentimes read a book that's been self-published and see a lot of potential and growth in that story. And I've left reviews like this. This author has some great works. I may give it a 3 or a 4-star review, but my comment on there is I can't wait to see the continued growth of this author and see the next book they write. Because we know that with every book you put out there, it's better than the last one. As long as you keep doing it and keep writing, you will get better and better. It takes that.
exactly. But it's getting over that first hurdle. It's getting over that first. It's getting over that first, emotional blow when it doesn't live up to your expectations or your dreams. Because if you're not in it for the heart of it, then you're not in it at all. You're in it just to make the money. And really, if you're making money, you might as well go find a new job. Because that's what writing is to you, is a job. It's not a passion. And I hate to be judgmental like that, but you have to have the passion. You have to have the fire. Because if you don't have the fire, your readers aren't gonna believe your words. They aren't gonna connect with your characters because they're gonna just be some. I want to swear here, so I'm not going to swear here. It's gonna be some stupid formula, And people are tired of formulas. Writing is not formulas or procedures or policies. It is bringing to life a world, bringing to life characters, making those characters grab the readers and yank them into their world, so that the reader is living the experience of the character.
Yeah,
I'm get off my horse.
I tell people all the time, writing is the one thing I'll never retire from. I have no interest in getting rich quick off of it, and I pass right by any scheme that promises to do so. Writing is something I'll do until the day I can't do it anymore. It's nothing that I want to retire from. And I think if you're looking for something to retire from, then it's not your passion.
Exactly. Very much so. I agree totally, 100 and 200% with you.
Sorry, Joe, I know that you're there on the edge. Did you say Angela was coming in?
Yeah, she's asking me if she messaged me and said, how's things going. So I invited her in. She's looking for the link right now to get in here.
Did you tell her that we're?
I didn't. What'd you say?
I said I'm wondering what you're telling her about how well it's going.
Oh, I said, yeah, we're still here. I think she just wanted to know if we were still up and still here.
Yeah.
I knew she couldn't stay away.
Yeah.
I intentionally brought up Batman and Superman because that invoked her to come in here a couple times already today. So
So there's a method to your madness.
sometimes, yeah.
I can talk
I
about
mean,
Batman and Superman for hours. I'm just telling you.
yeah.
I'm not a Batman fan. I teach my children daily that he is the worst superhero ever known. If we want to battle on that, I'm more than happy to do so.
No, she's on your side.
Oh, good. Yes, I knew Angela would be.
She believes Iron Man is better than Batman.
Absolutely. Hands down, Iron Man's better than Batman.
I'm right there with you guys on what you were saying. That's fantastic. I can read some comments too. Some the folks have been on YouTube making comments, and you know, they know. Alpha Oak says, "I know several writers who are too cocky and think they're God's gift to readers. They write junk and then get angry when they don't get the right attention. That's what bothers me. They have no real passion, just expectation." And they're all cheering you on, Ani. They loved what you said. So.
Good.
Well, thank you.
Is there something else that you're passionate about besides writing?
Well, it depends on the day.
Sometimes
seriously,
sometimes it's that 5-layer burrito at Taco Bell. Other than
well, not that bad, guys. Not that bad. No, I mean, it could be as simple as watching my. It could be as simple as watching my standard poodle run across the beach, or taking the perfect photograph where I capture the soul of the person along with their picture. It's if I'm passionate to make sure that everything and everyone. Everything that I do and everyone I come in contact, I take care of them in some way. I take care of them, maybe not monetarily, but I make, like I'll walk into the deli and make the deli servers smile. And that'll make their, just to make their day, just to make, just to give a part of myself to someone so they know they're not alone. You know what I mean?
LF Oak says,
Call me an
Taco Bell,
idealist.
that Frito burrito, man, yum.
Hey, Angela.
She made it.
Thank you. Okay, now, hold on a minute. Iron Man is better than Batman. I just have to say that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
All right. Josh, is this Josh? This is Josh.
How's it going?
Hi, I get to see you face to face.
I know, we've been talking for so long and haven't yet had a chance to
No,
converse.
we have not yet. I have to ask, where are you? What are you doing up at this hour?
I'm in Alaska. It's only 11 o'clock right now.
Alaska. I remember now. That's why you're up. This is my let's let the cat hour out of the house. out. She sleeps with me every night. So hold on a minute. I gotta mute some stuff here because
So Angela, we have some real active participants on the comments. So I want to introduce you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
This is Angela B. Chrysler, author of Broken and Dollar and Shadow, and of course, the whole reason that we're all here doing this. So Angela is the creator and founder of Brain to Books and this convention, and somebody who, if you don't know her, you need to, because it's just the way it is. And she will help you do whatever you need to do in this crazy world that we live in, and she's great at it. So everybody with great fanfare, Angela B. Chrysler.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Angela, it's your favorite space cadet over here.
I need a name. Annie. Annie! Hi!
Annie, yes, hi!
Yes, I'm not alone anymore.
Your name, Ron. See, this is what I need to hear people's names. I got one name in, and I'm like, I have no idea how to say this.
Don't worry about it. Everybody, even people who know me, give me Annie all the time, and I threaten I'm going to sing tomorrow. So
yeah,
you're in good company.
It's okay. I have to ask, Ani, where are you from? Where are you calling in right now from?
Washington.
Washington State. Oh.
The left coast, not the right coast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. It's people from DC. Say DC. I had a friend from DC, and That I learned very quickly. Washington is Washington, D.C. is D.C.
Yeah.
This is my let's let the cat out of the room hour. I am up every night at this hour because my Cookie is going. Okay, Cookie. And if Colby's in the room too, he is a Norwegian forest cat who weighs 20 pounds and acts like a dog. So
Aw.
he is our dog. Oh no, he is a big sweetheart. He's on Instagram where you can see him bathing my husband, which he does every day. We call it Dirty Daddy time because I love cats. So,
And ladies and gentlemen, the Late Show just became the Late Show.
yeah.
So where are you calling from?
I am in New York.
Ah,
Not the city, just New York. I'm actually in the mountains, which is funny because a lot of people go, wait, there's mountains in New York? Yes. I am on the Allegheny Plateau with the weirdest weather in the world.
Tell us what it's like there right now.
Right now, it is dark.
we know that.
Your definition of weather is much different than mine.
Well, I'm not sure. I really don't know what it is doing right now. We usually, this time of the year especially, we have 60-degree flux. I mean, it'll be literally 10 degrees, and then that day it will warm up to 70. We had a day like that yesterday.
It snowed.
Wow.
It snowed a few days ago, didn't it?
It snowed yesterday, and then it jumped up to a comfortable 60. Like it's insane. Yeah, it's a very crazy weather system, and I think it's because if you've ever looked at we are just like probably an hour north or south of the Adirondack Mountains, and we're kind of cupped into a valley. I've heard that there are places where if you look, there's something called the horizon. We don't have that here. We have mountains like this, and I live here in the nook of the valley, and it's flat enough, or we've carved out enough of the mountain that we can actually see a whole whopping 5 feet in front of us without hitting the next mountain. But it's
Sounds like you guys have a convergence zone going on or something like that.
Yeah, and I think what ends up happening, because we are also about an hour from the Finger Lakes, wine country, and if you have never had New York State Finger Lakes wine, you are missing out. It's very local, and once you travel outside of New York State, it's very hard to get your hands on, and it is just beautiful wine. So we have this massive divergent culture from the city to wine country to the mountains, and then we have Niagara Falls, which we own half of it, and half the Statue of Liberty, the front part. So
the good part.
That's the more important part.
Yes, it's a standing joke that it's the backside of Our Lady that faces Jersey. So we take great pride in reminding them of that, and every New Jerseyan listening is going, yeah. So no, I love my New York. So Alaska, Josh.
Yeah.
Is it that 6-month darkness or 6-month light right now?
We are quickly heading towards light. We're at about 12, 13 hours of light. No,
Okay,
probably closer to 14 or 15 hours of light right now. But it is dark right now. The sun went down about an hour and a half ago.
How long was it up this day?
About 9:15 is when it went down.
He had it nice and glaring when he first came on. It was very
Yeah.
So you remind me right now of Northern Exposure, and you remind me of Chris, and I it's very nostalgic for me. I had like a good solid year of watching Northern Exposure, and that's actually a show I need to get on DVD because I love it so much. Mm-hmm. And my husband has never seen an episode. He may have seen like 5 minutes of one, and I'm like, you are missing out. It's as good as MASH. It's just the Northern Exposure was great. So yeah, that's what you're reminding me of right now.
Yeah, we got another couple months left, and then we'll where I'm at, we get up to 21 hours of daylight, and then during the winter we go to 21 hours of darkness.
Wow.
So we go both extremes.
Wow.
I don't think I could stand it. I mean, I barely stand it when we go down. You know, when we start going down about 4:30. You know, during the winter, or 3:30 when we start getting dark. I can't stand any more than that. I would not survive in Alaska, I don't think.
I do have to ask, Ani, the rain in Washington, I've heard rumors. How often does it rain over there?
Actually, it's in the 10 years I've been here. When it first started, when I first came here, winters were bad. I mean, we were getting, days upon days upon days of rain. It's actually these last 2 years have been more like California winters, where it's been more dry. But this winter, this winter this year, 2015, 2016, has been a nice combination of dry and wet. It's not been overly wet. Well, it's been overly wet when it's been wet, and it's been nice. It's been really nice this year. It's been kind of, but you definitely can tell, that there's been some environmental changes. I mean, for people who don't believe in global warming, they've got their blinders on. I'm sorry.
I love you just nailed it. People who don't believe in global warming. It cracks me up because it's not an opinion. It's great. I had something to say. Right. We have this wonderful balance of rain here, and you could clock it. It is almost always 3 days of rain, 4 days of sun, or 4 days of rain, 3 days of sun. And I mean, it's like clockwork. It's wonderful. It never rains and then the next day it suns and then we're on the span. It doesn't happen here. We are 3 days or 4 days of rain, 3 or 4 days of sun. It is almost as predictable as the 4 o'clock in the afternoon Florida rain. I was there for a week in the summer once, and every day at 4 o'clock, or was it 2 o'clock, it rained for 10 minutes.
4 o'clock is right.
Yeah, and my aunt lived there, and I'm like, what is with your rain? And she goes, oh, it happens every day. You like, is there somebody who comes in and releases the clouds? It was really amazing. I love hearing about it. Climate really affects the culture. It really does. And it's you get into a certain culture, and their entire system for thousands of years have evolved around what the weather does. And it just, to me, I love hearing about the weather in different cultures. And Joe, is Israel on? Will they be coming on?
No, they didn't make it.
Oh, no. Okay.
I had a feeling. She said she would have stopped by, but they were up just like me in a marathon session. And she thought they would go to bed. If they woke up, she would get in, but I'm guessing they fell asleep and stayed.
Yeah, I have Israel on my phone because my aunt lives there. So when I found out the ladies were in Israel, we bonded really quickly. We started exchanging food stories because my aunt married into the family, and I have cousins all living. I wish I could remember. It's too early or late to remember. But she was like, it's just an amazing culture. I love hearing about Israel. So, ooh, I have a rock from Israel. Let me show you this rock. This is fascinating. This is how they grow how they form in the Mediterranean on the Dead Sea.
You just have to water them on the weekends.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And it's almost phosphorus, like volcanic. But this one it's like a rock sculpture. But this is the way the sea formed it. It's really different. And it's funny because my grandmother would go to Israel and she'd bring back these rocks. So I have a piece of Israel on my desk. So it makes me very happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to be here in full force tomorrow.
Yay!
She said that they would spend pretty much the entire night, and they would keep me up until I was falling over in my chair.
All right, I will be sure to. Oh, it's let the cats back in hour.
I was gonna say you got shadows moving behind you.
Yeah. No,
That was a huge cat.
No, that's Colby. That's Colby. He's that's my husband. No. I should. Oh, jeez. I have 18 minutes left of talk time. I'm using it. I should be in bed, but I'm using it. I had a negotiation with my husband. I'm like, I think I'm going to go jump back on and talk to Joe. He's like, you should be in bed. I was in bed. I got 3 hours of sleep. I'm good now.
He's not laying right next to you there, is he? You're
Oh,
not
no.
keeping him up.
We have this gorgeous, no, he's insomniac. He's in your world, Joe. So he just stopped reading or playing Skyrim. I was sleeping through it. And
Good man.
all right, PS4.
Yeah.
I heard good man, so I'm like, yeah. So
So I'm getting close to 19 hours awake right now.
yep.
But that's
Yeah.
about normal for me. I only sleep about 4 or 5 hours a night. So
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you with my 5-6 hours, and then I'm like wide awake. And I'm a morning person,
yeah,
so
me too.
long as the coffee is there. If the
Yep.
coffee isn't there, then I call it the coffee ceremony.
I hear you. Virtual fist bump.
Oh yeah. All right, let's synchronize it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. La 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 la.
You guys can't see it because it's over here.
I'm not a coffee drinker, guys. If I drink coffee, the California energy crisis wouldn't exist.
You can't see it, but right there's my Keurig. I brought it up from my kitchen.
See,
I couldn't afford.
I proposed bringing the coffee pot to my bedroom where I work. My husband said no.
I couldn't afford a Keurig. I drink about 3 pots of coffee a day. I would never be able to afford a Keurig.
Yeah, that's very well said. That's a very good point. I drink too much coffee to own a Keurig.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a case and it'd be gone in a day.
Yes.
We've priced them and we're like trying to figure out if we would save money and it's like, well, what if you want the occasional cup of coffee? I'm like, when do I ever want an occasional 1 cup of coffee?
Yeah.
I want the occasional 1 pot of coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a pot in my kitchen, a pot in my office, and a pot in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have I think 6 coffee pots. A backup for the backup.
And, yeah, I have a thermos that I then take with me anytime I'm leaving, so I have it with me too.
No, one of my I am a huge. Not only am I a huge coffee drinker, I love telling coffee stories. And I did this one review for a coffee pot that I had, and it was a page. It was a story of, I got up and I started my coffee, and something happened with my coffee pot that every time, literally once a week, it overflowed, and there were ground coffee beans and coffee all over my kitchen. So instead of drinking coffee, I was mopping it once a week. And so I finally got angry enough that I wrote a review on it. And it was, now mind you, I haven't had my coffee yet, as I'm mopping my coffee off the floor. So there's this one day, my son loves to make me dance. So there's one song, it is banned in this house. Not really, but my son will purposely put it on and say, Mom, I need you to come down here. If I hear this song, I dance. I was hard sleeping one night, and my husband he's giggling over there, he's going, my husband wanted to see exactly how thorough this was. He put it in. 3 a.m. dead of night, I was out. I jumped up and started dancing. Still asleep.
Jeez.
Still asleep.
No way.
I woke up in the middle of dancing going, whoa, and he's like, you really do dance when you hear the song? I'm like, yes, now will you shut it off? And for the record, it's Stamp on the Ground. Just,
okay.
I hear this song, and please don't play it. Please don't play it.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I really dance. I can't not dance with this song. It is a fun song. So
I was just gonna say though.
Yeah.
It's just gonna say it's like Kramer's reaction to Entertainment Tonight.
Yes, it is like Entertainment Tonight. He hears Mary's voice, and yeah, that's it. And by the way, that show really, really captures what New York is. That is really what it's like over here. Isn't that sad? so we.
I love that show.
This I do too. This one morning, file weed. I love the broccoli thing. So there's this one morning where my son thought he'd be smart, and he put it on, and I'm trying to do my coffee ceremony. And instead I'm dancing, and I'm like, if you're not going to shut that song off, you're going to do my coffee. So he grinds it. And it's already like, it's a 5-minute song. So after dancing for 5 minutes, I turn around, and I find coffee everywhere. And he's trying to pour the water in, and I'm so frustrated and angry that I grab my glass carafe and slam it down. And suddenly I'm standing there with this glass circle without a bottom in my coffee. And I still haven't had my coffee. And I'm just like, okay. I put it down. I don't even clean up the glass. I walk upstairs, grab my coat and purse, look at my husband and go, card, now, no coffee, need pot. He doesn't ask nothing. He just pulls out the credit card, okay, hands it to me, I leave. I come back 20 minutes later with a new carafe. No coffee, mind you. That was a bad morning. And I know that's what I said to him. I said, card, now. And he just looks at me and I said, or you go downstairs and clean up the glass. So it was, yeah, he's a good man. He left base and he's like, oh, I'm getting the card and she needs a, so that's me and coffee. We have a relationship.
What she's not saying is that I can hear him yelling in the word coffee.
He says, what she's not saying is I can hear yelling and the word coffee. So we have an agreement. It makes me happy, and I keep coming back. So.
Awesome.
You tell the best stories.
Thank you.
Whether inside the cover or outside, it's a good story.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love telling stories. I really do. So, and I was lying there in bed. This is actually one of the reasons why I came on. I was remembering my rollout, and I'm like, that is just so funny. I have to share it with people. So, I'm going to talk about my rollout for a moment. Joe, tomorrow we're going to spend an hour just talking about cats. Okay, I'm warning you.
About cats?
About cats, and I will tell you why. I have Peachy here. Peachy is 22 years old.
Wow.
Peachy is the last not of just her litter, but of an entire 20-year bloodline that I have had with her family. More than 20 years ago. I was 12 when I got her great-great-grandmother. So I have watched 5 generations of cats. And it was a massive study where I got to see genetics pass on. Peachy is the archetype of this cat in this family. Every litter of cats that have been born for 5 generations have had a single white cat at least in the litter with a black spot, and by a year old that black spot has gone. It's amazing. So I had my Rollo. There were 4 in the litter. 1 died within a few weeks. But I had Rollo, Tribble, and Peach. Tribble's the one mentioned in Broken, Josh, who had passed. So Peachy's her sister. Rollo was a Maine Coon-looking cat, and the cats look nothing alike, and there's a reason why, which we'll talk about tomorrow, Joe. So Rollo was this Maine Coon, and she was the kind of Maine Coon who would not stay out of places she did not belong. So there was this one day I was vacuuming, and I had pulled the couch out from the wall, and I was vacuuming behind the couch. I was done, and I pushed the couch back, and it was stuck. So I rammed all my weight into it, and it wouldn't go. So I just kept shoving it, and I'm like, why won't this go? And I finally looked to see what was jammed between my wall and the couch, and it was Rollo. And she was doing this, trying to squeeze out. The cat's fine. But I had wedged her between the wall and the couch. She didn't scream or say a word. She just... So it was just, my first reaction was, oh no! My second reaction was, because I wedged my cat. So that's Rollo. It was, yeah. And I was just lying there remembering it. It was just funny to me. And my husband's like, you've told your story, ready to come back to bed now because I'm ready. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. He's like, I'm tired. I can hear this conversation in his head. Oh, Colby took my spot. See, and this cat, when he takes spots, it's like, he's a big cat. He really is a big cat. And it's funny because men are not as, there's something about gender where women are just more crazed about cats. But there is something when men see Colby, the first thing every man has done is gone, oh, I gotta pick up the cat. It's funny. Colby is a dude cat.
Yeah.
I think I'm done talking about my cats for a moment. You guys can talk about something else. I give you permission.
I have children. I don't have pets. So.
Oh no, no, yeah, no children. Are.
5 kids keeps me plenty busy.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
And
I
I'm
feel like
I'm a dog person.
you're a dog person. I love dogs.
Yeah, I have a standard poodle who will take up the whole bed.
Yeah.
He will just literally just lie himself down, and he know we'll snuggle together, and he knows. Okay, scoot over.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I love it. What is your dog's name?
Micah.
Micah.
And
oh, that's beautiful.
And then I got Maggie too. Maggie's a little 12-pound Pekingese poodle.
Oh, Pekingese poodle. How big is she?
Yeah, she's 12 pounds.
Okay. And how big are your kids, Josh?
We can compare equally. My daughter is 13, and she's probably medium sized, and then my boys are 9, 8, 5, and 2.
Oh my goodness! Did you just say 9, 8, 5, and 2? You have 4 boys. 9, 8, 5, and 2.
Yes.
Good luck.
No, they're awesome.
I've got 1 boy, and I'm just going. So I have a 13-year-old girl as well. So we need to ship our children to each other at some point.
Sure, yeah, we need a play date. Yeah.
I'll start now. I'll send mine to Alaska. Emily is she is very scientific minded. And okay, here's a great. This is my daughter. So we're sitting there at the dinner table, and I love having lemon water with ice and fresh squeezed lemon in my water. So she wanted some lemon, and I passed her a wedge, and she squeezed it and then did this. What's the word, Isaac? I'm not scientifically minded at all. Isaac, what's the word when
you squeeze a lemon?
No, when 2 liquids combine. I really can't remember. It's like osmosis.
No, that's emulsion.
Yeah, it's great osmosis. I'm certain it's osmosis. And she squeezed the lemon into the water, and then she goes, osmosis work. I'm just like, I had to look at my husband. I'm like, what is osmosis? And he's like, it's when 2 liquids combine and they slowly mix together. And I'm just like, it's just osmosis work. So
you can definitely send her my way. She'll get along great with my daughter.
Scientific as well?
No, she's a free spirit, very artistic, an animal lover at heart. She told me the other day that she no longer wanted to try in school because teachers didn't really know the true meaning of life. She said
she did not want to try in school because teachers did not know the true meaning of life.
Yep, she said the true meaning of life, Dad, is love, friends, and family, and they just want me to do all this busy work, and that work doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. I said, you have a beautiful soul. Yeah.
That is gorgeous. So this is my daughter. So she was in 4th grade, and I get a letter home from the teacher, and she had said "buck you" in class. Only it wasn't "buck you." So I did this whole parent, what are you doing? And it passed. So in that week, I had a parent-teacher conference, a standard issue, because they were doing the teacher conferences that week. So I get in there, and I brought it up with her teacher, like, so she said, "Buck you," and the teacher just cracked up laughing. She's like, no, you need to understand. And I'm like, what was the context? Because I couldn't get it out of Emily. And she goes, oh, no. I'm sitting there going over mathematics, and I'm like, what is 5 times 10? And she raises her hand, and Emily never raises her hand. She's a blurter. And I'm like, she's like, oh, that's Emily's raising her hand. Emily, yes. And Emily's response is, "Buck you." And she's just like, what's 5 times 10? Buck you. So she takes Emily out into the hall, like, why? And we sit Emily down. My husband's great with her. He sits down with her, and he's like, what happened? And she's like, the kid behind me said he was going to give me his cupcake at lunch if I did it. Did he pay you? No! What did you learn? Not to make bets!
Make
Get
your own.
paid up front!
If you want your cake and you want to eat it too, you got to make it yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, and it was just like, she's never done it since, but it just, yeah,
No,
yeah, that's my kid. Oh,
No,
yeah.
one more kid is no problem at all up here, Angela. I tell people all the time, one kid's really rough because you're starting out. Two
Yes.
kids, is a juggling act
Yeah.
because you got to bounce.
Yes,
there.
yes.
3 is juggling, but after three, you just make sure no one dies. It's
Yeah,
really,
after
it's really
three.
easy.
After 3 children, you just make sure no one dies. That's,
Yeah, you're just running a constant classroom. You're just keeping them all safe in their corners,
See, I have 4 corners in this house, and I'm going to use them. That's great. No, and you're right. One child you are completely altering your perspective 180. It is a hard adjustment. 2 is, okay, now let's learn how to juggle. 3 is, let's add an extra ball. And
Yes.
if you can juggle 2, 3 is easy. It's not about getting an extra hand. I could use one, but it is juggling. But you're right. That's beautiful. 4
Once you get past
is,
3, it's easy.
it's just keep them alive.
Just keep adding them. People are all the time like,
What is it with kids wanting to kill themselves? Like, seriously, my daughter was born with her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck 3 times. So on day 1, she tried killing herself. And then at my son, this is great, he was 4, and I had the Christmas tree, and I had the chair next to the Christmas tree. And I watched it, the process. He stands up on the arm of the chair, and then he leaps for the top. And he does this monkey, arms and legs, and he's just there at the top of my Christmas tree, and then I see this. And I'm just like, did he really just jump? so I've had moments where so many life and death moments. My son put something in his mouth. You saw this, Josh, and Broken. That thing, and he really couldn't breathe. Purple. It was terrifying. And I'm just like, afterwards, like a year later, when I still don't think it's funny, I'm like, what is it with you guys trying to kill yourselves? It's like, oh, then there's this day. My son, yes, my husband's like, tell him about the electromagnet. So my son was kicked out of school. He was suspended. So I'm sitting at home. He comes upstairs, and he's very proud of himself. He goes, look, Mom, look, a magnet. Look. And I'm like, it's a copper wire, a nail, and a paper clip. And I'm looking at that like, oh, that's cool. And then how did you charge that? Where did you get the energy to put it inside the cover? He goes, oh, I put it inside the light socket. And I'm just like, what? And we have a very old house. It is not grounded. It needs to be. So I'm just, it was I fried child. No, he was fine, but I literally did we're going to take a tour. And I literally taught him, like I pulled up Google, we walked all the way around the thing, and I'm like pointing at the transformers, explaining how there is so much energy that they have to condense it down just to get to the house. But when you access that via, putting wires into outlets, so you can make magnets, and, you're tapping into that massive source, and you'll die. And, yeah, I swear, kids are just trying to...
Or you become a superhero.
Or you become a superhero. Or Iron Man.
It's like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Iron Man woke up one day and said, I don't need anything other than my brain.
Yeah.
One of my favorite commenters is saying, my now 9-year-old tried to set her hair on fire at 1-year-old.
See? Trying to set her hair on fire. Yeah, see? Kids try to kill themselves. And it's like, I swear they do it out of joke. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do just to test Mom today.
That's what kids need, a little brother.
Oh.
I tested all my theories on my little brother. So we had a staircase growing up, and I wanted to see how much of his extremities could go through the staircase, so I got him stuck in the staircase.
Yeah.
Because I pushed him. And he got halfway to his to the torso, and he got stuck.
And I don't remember ever trying to kill myself when I was a child. I don't remember any moments where I said, you know what, I need to challenge myself today. But I think I was just trying to survive already. So, I think I was good with that. Now my brother Aaron, he has a different story. Aaron has recently tried to kill himself. There was the day that my dad came home and Aaron was hanging from the tree upside down by the ankle, going, "Dad, help!" And then there was the time that they were out geocaching. For those who don't know, geocaching is when you have, this is phenomenal. Just Google geocaching and go to Wiki and look it up. It is phenomenal. It just, oh. So my brothers were out geocaching, and they had tracked it down. It requires a GPS. And it was a level 3 or level 5 geocache. And they had climbing equipment, a GPS. They were in the middle of the Adirondack Mountains. They get out, and there are these 2 pine trees, probably 30 feet tall each. And Aaron looks at the tree, and he goes, "So it's up there, right?" And Adam's like, yeah, it's up there. He's like, "Okay, all right." So he grabs the rope, and he's like, "Well, let's get the harness on you and the climbing equipment." And Aaron's like, "Oh, no, I don't need it. So he climbs the tree. He gets up there, and he's like foraging, trying to find this geocache at the top of this 30-foot tree. And Adam calls from the ground, "Is it there?" And Aaron's like, no, I think it's in the other tree. "Well, come down, and we'll climb the other." "Oh, no, I got this." And Aaron
you just
jumps.
jump across. Yeah.
He jumps. And like my son with the tree. And he wraps it, and he goes, "Hunk." He landed on his ankle, and it literally popped through the skin. The bone. I'm sorry, Annie, close your ears. Just because this is going to get gross. Close your ears. So, yes.
And any viewers that may be queasy.
Yes, queasy. Seriously, this is the time to close your ears. The bone popped out of the socket. It was just a dislocation, but it popped through the skin and shredded his skin open. Dirt got in. It was messy. Aaron was fine. He's just lying there like, "What? Yes, I'm fine." Shock is a great thing. But Adam was like, and he calls 911, and they're like, "Okay, so where are you?" "My calculations are latitude, longitude." And they're just like, "What is that? Where are you? I gave you the longitude and the latitude. What else do you want from me?" It just, it took them an hour to get to them because they were in the middle of a forest. And the moral of the story is, children, stop killing yourselves. So, yeah.
I think we just turned into a PSA.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, queasiness is over. People can listen again. So whenever I talk about Aaron, I do have to put that warning in, because there was the time he tried to rescue a cat, and he thought it was a good idea to pick up a strange cat and get it out of the rain. He's a very, very compassionate person. He brought the cat in, and it bit him. And this is a year ago. And bites are serious no matter what animal or human they come from. Humans or animals, we have a very dirty mouth. I'm serious. Some more dirty than others, mine especially. But seriously, bites are serious. Serious things. And this cat bit him, and he did not cling it or look at it. He didn't take it serious until about 3 weeks later, when he lost all feeling in the arm.
Oh, jeez.
He went to the hospital finally, and no one had heard from him. We're like, "Where is Aaron? It's been like 2 months." And yeah, he's just like, "It's fine." And he's got like chunks missing out of his body. He's like, "I'm fine." But that comes from my grandfather. There was a day where my grandfather had a nail and a hammer. I still have to ask him how it got in his thigh. But my grandfather's reaction is, "Oh, grabs the hammer and just pries it out of his leg like it's nothing. This man has triple bypass surgery and is roofing the next day alone. That's my family. So we're tough people. So, yeah.
Okay, so who put the indestructible gene in your genome?
I'm gonna blame my Uncle Rick. He burned the house down. He burned down the house once. Yeah, he took 2 chemicals that he got from the science class, wadded them up, and threw them in the garbage, and it literally exploded and set the house on fire. So, we have a great family. I should tell you about our family. So, I have a timer, and it went off, so I'm supposed to go back to bed now. So I'm gonna go lie there and just think about everything I can tell you about tomorrow instead. So. All right. So good night. This was my contribution to the It's So Late, It's Early show.
Good seeing you, Angela.
It's wonderful finally meeting faces. So thank you, Josh and Ani. I have to ask, how do you pronounce your last name?
Manjikian.
Manjikian. Manjikian?
Yeah. Man. The J is like a GE, soft.
Okay.
And then kin.
Kin.
Like
Manjikian. Manjikian.
Yeah, Manjikian.
Okay, what nationality is that? Beautiful.
Armenian.
Armenian. Thank you.
I'm Scots, English, Irish, German, Dutch, Armenian.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Absolutely Manjikian. All right, I saw that name, and I call you Annie M. Annie M. That's what I call you, Annie M. So I'm just like, oh, it's Annie M. So thank you. And Josh, your last name is pronounced. How do you?
You're so silly.
Yeah.
Robertson.
All right.
Yeah.
Robertson. It's that one was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having two Joshes on the fantasy tour, that was fun. Just so you know.
Is that Joshua Bloom?
Yes.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. I did a podcast with him about 3 weeks ago. Didn't you just do a podcast with him? Or you're getting ready to have one come out?
Tonight. Oh wait, what time? Tonight at 9 or 8 o'clock. I can't remember. Tonight I will have a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I just podcasted with him 2 weeks ago.
Yep, and I think it airs on Monday. So.
Nice.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about. It's funny because people like, Steve Herman just did this. He's like, hey, I'd love to do an interview with you. And I'm like, great. What about Broken Dollar and Shadow or the convention? And he's like, what convention? We'll talk.
We'll talk. Yeah.
So it was broken. And, oh, Josh, you need to take the time to read that interview. He asked me some really hard questions. It's on my website on the homepage. So there's a link. But it was a beautiful, beautiful, really hard questions. I loved it. So, all right. Well, my cats are out. So I'm going to go now. All right. Good night and good morning, everyone.
Good night. It was nice meeting you.
You too.
And there's Angela B. Chrysler, everybody.
I'm going to take some of Angela and bottle her up.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Doing well. I'm wondering, do we need to probably call it a night soon, and so we're all fully refreshed for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be a longer day, but I'm willing to go as long as you guys want to talk. So if you guys want to go, I'm cool with that too.
I'm either way, but I'm kind of getting to the point of wrapping it up, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we're back on tomorrow night, so I'm sure we can save some conversation for that. Yeah. And I still got about 3 hours till bedtime, so I'll go right.
I've got to do some computer work, so yeah, and I'll probably do some editing. But don't forget to send me the links, Joe.
Okay.
For tomorrow night.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. You guys are all in my network now, so I'm definitely you'll get the links, and I'm not doing either of those things that you're doing. I'm going to bed. So.
Well deserved.
Wise man.
You did a nice job today. You should definitely get a pat on the back.
Deserved. Do we have any more?
Thanks, guys.
Do we have any last round of questions from YouTube?
All right. Well, we'll reconvene tomorrow and have a nice rest of the evening and morning.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys. Everybody out there, take care. The one person that's still watching.
Cool.
We're done. You can go to bed now.
Yeah. Good night and sweet dreams, guys.
All right. Bye.